Hello, and welcome to the Triple Takeover Toycast, a fortnightly podcast dedicated to the Transformers as well as other toy lines from the past. For episode 48, we are taking a break from talking about vehicles that transform into robots, and instead we are discussing vehicles that transform into other vehicles, but with magnets. We're only talking about one of the best toy lines to blast off from NASA's launch pad. It's Starcom. As always, I am joined by a writer, photographer, and for him, a whirring mechanism is the same sound his back makes. It's TFsquareone, aka M.A.S.K.
No, I disagree. Whirring mechanisms work.
So howling pain.
Yeah.
And of course, we are also joined by writer, photographer, YouTuber, and someone that we've learned quilters find quite magnetic. It's Sixo.
Hang on. Point of order.
Move on.
No, that's a fallacy bigger than MP01. I'm sorry. We've already corrected that point on this
I just wanted to
podcast.
stir that hornet's nest again.
Yeah, well, look, he's dropped the O, so this is his new fallacy.
You know the O will be back, honestly. At least you admit it's a fallacy. I think it was your fallacy they were after.
And I'm Toybox Soapbox, or as the lady who runs the sandwich van at work calls me, Liam. How's it going, lads?
Not bad, thanks. Not bad, indeed. Looking forward to a bit of, well, can I say what the topic is? I assume everyone knows
He's
by
already
now.
said it. He's already said it.
Has he mentioned it?
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah. I was too busy getting het up about the quilters thing.
No, he said, there's a Starcom flying in the sky. I want a shadow parasite, but prices are too high. That's what he said.
Oh,
Wow,
God.
it was like Bowie just appeared there.
Yeah, wow. You said you were going to sing, and I actually didn't believe you, but I should have done.
Flew in like that Beast Wars owl, just like Bowie did.
I just see Starcom and I think Starman. It's just, I can't disconnect the two.
Just, yeah, very synonymous, those two things. I could see
Absolutely.
it. Absolutely.
No, you saw the cartoon. It was pure Bowie, right?
It was pure something.
We'll get to that.
It was a space oddity, I'll give you that.
But yeah, so what's been happening? Sixo, you've been on a journey through generations. I think we can all see.
I have, mate. Yeah, what you maybe say, dabbling in a bit of chug every now and then. Yeah, I've got 2 shelves of the things now, if you can believe that, which is a bit of a revelation.
I'm just glad he can pronounce it like he didn't with Mastodon and the other thing he said wrong last week. It's not Chug. Like it's not. I've collected
Chug.
Yeah.
I can call it Chug if that makes you feel better.
I mean, I would say it's something like Henkai or something like that. Henki.
Hanky panky.
Hanky panky. I quite like hanky panky. I might stick with that. No, I'm really enjoying it, actually. Some great stuff going on. I don't know if you guys are aware of toys like, Hound and things like this. Really good toys. Do you know what I mean? And old Henke Lambor, Henke Sideswipe, things like that. They're really good toys. No one's ever talked about them in the last however many years, I don't think. I think I'm the first to discover them.
How are you liking Headmasters, Sixo?
Oh, that's really good as well. Yeah, I picked up Legends Rodimus.
I have to say, it really made me laugh in the chat the other day when you were just like, wow, LG, it is so great. I'm converted. It's like, what year is this? Like, we just time traveled back 10 years.
It's like a bad toothpaste commercial.
I know.
I don't think those were my exact words.
It was pretty much that.
Right.
Yeah.
It is really good, though. I tell you, I'm impressed with it as a toy. I have picked up 1 or 2 other Legends bits since, and so I'm looking forward to checking those out.
Terribly unlike you.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Well, you get a taste of something and tomorrow, bam, Toyland's done.
Are you, the pot calling the kettle black at this point? Because you are Mr. kind of jump on something and, go all in, no?
It's the zeal of the convert, isn't it?
Or the addict getting another fix. It's fine. That's what it is, isn't it?
No, just, enjoying it. That's all. Just quietly checking out a Toyland.
I'm so glad to see you enjoy it. Because, honestly, for a long time, you feel like, well, he's never going to get into these toys because it's just not the thing he collects. And I'm surprised that Hot Rod was the gateway, to be honest. I mean, it looks great.
It's beautiful.
But I think if you like that, then the rest will just be like brilliant.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. I must admit, I saw your picture of the Hasbro version the other day, and I was really surprised by the difference in the color scheme. Like, I knew they were going to be different, but just the I think it is probably magenta, the Legends one, and it's just so nice with the kind of clear plastic on the chest and all of that. It's just really stunning. Paint, lovely.
This is what LG were doing around that era, is they were just changing all the molds, weren't they? They were making stuff more accurate and changing faces.
Cup was a whole different look, you know.
Yeah, just a different head.
Yep.
They were giving them different weapons, different all sorts of
different arms on Cup as well. But anyway, that episode is one I'm looking forward to. And now that he's into it, it's going to be a really nice discussion, I think.
Yeah, man, I could see myself getting some more, I got to tell you. So that's about as modern as my toy collecting kind of gets outside of Masterpiece and third party at the moment. So
you've got that 20-year limit, haven't you, or whatever it is?
Well,
that's
actually, I
can call it vintage now. I can be a hipster.
That must be it, the hipster thing. No, I say that. I'm looking up, and I've got a Legacy G-Axis on my shelf at the moment, which I love. Can I say, Liam, your recommendation from the best of 2022 episode sealed the deal, and another friend of ours giving it a real big shout as well. Really was what tipped me over the edge. Was old Jim mentioning how good it is. But yeah, absolutely phenomenal toy. Love it.
Oh, I love your enthusiasm for this. That's great.
Yeah, man, absolutely. What's going on with you guys?
What's happening with you, M.A.S.K? You're still being tortured by Diaclone prices.
Oh, mate, I tell you what, there are a number of things I completely gave up on really soon. When was the Diaclone episode? Like March, April, May-ish last year? So it's not even been, 10 months. And I'd gone through that cycle of, I want to get back into this. Wouldn't it be great to pick up a few things? I'd like to pick up loads of things. Oh, wow, the price is going crazy. Right, that's it, I'm done. I've pretty much already gone through all those emotions. But one of the things I'd totally given up on, just crazy how the prices have gone up in the last couple of months. I reckon someone might be able to sort me out, and it's given me a bit of renewed hope that with patience and with good mates, anything is possible to still obtain. And that's what I always thought in this hobby, just constantly like, you wait long enough, you're good to your friends will be good to you, and people will look out for you, and you don't rush things, you don't overpay because you just give up on the fact that that's the way the boat's sailing, and eventually you will find that thing that you're after. But I had post-COVID and with everything, I just thought, actually, that's not the way the hobby's going. It's just going completely in the wrong direction. But no, it is still possible to find good things. So I'm hoping that that can still work out, because it really does boost one's enthusiasm to actually be able to get the stuff that they want for their collection,
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I do know what you mean, because certainly post-pandemic, I don't know what has gone on in this hobby, man, but it's like everything is shot through the roof. And that's not, I mean, current stuff, definitely, but vintage items, I think it's just with so many people just, I don't know, sitting at home, picking up a new hobby or whatever it might be. It's really gone kind of, onto another level, I would say, in terms of prices of vintage stuff.
Yeah. Oh, you were talking about vintage Diaclone.
I suppose I'm talking about, yes, vintage, but also anything on the aftermarket, realistically. So yeah, even the modern Diaclone. Modern Diaclone's kind of its own bag even then, though, isn't it? Just because
it's like a microcosm of the problem in real sharp focus, yeah.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, it's like as soon as the stuff steps off the factory line and makes it into collectors' hands, woof, it's just like overnight, the price is just double. Crazy.
The toy line we're talking about today is also very much in the category of skyrocketing prices at the minute, but we'll get there.
Yeah. I had some inclination on that recently, as you know. And when I saw that there was someone that we know that was selling something, and I was like, it's how much? And it really surprised me.
You could bring that up when you mention them.
I will, yeah. I absolutely shall.
Now, if you're a fan of the show, and why wouldn't you be? And you want more of the show, and why wouldn't you? Then patreon.com/triple takeover is the place you need to be, because there is so much more content there, and it's not fortnightly, it's weekly, and it's exclusive stuff. And it's not just a little bit. We have 40 minisodes now.
Oh, yeah.
And we have 2 ongoing mini-series, which have 6 chapters each, or roughly that amount. And depending on your pledge, whether you come in as Man in Pig, where you just get a week. What? Wow, what a sentence!
Oh my God.
Phrasing.
Can you imagine that discussion? Honey, I think I'm going to sign up and be a man in a pig.
I think what I actually said is if you come in at Man in Pig.
No,
that's exactly what you said.
Yeah, you did.
Right, well, then early episodes are the prize there, as well as voting on episode polls.
We're just going to steam past it.
Don't know how else to address it, to be honest, apart from just bulldoze on.
Wow.
After that, should you release the inner beast? I've lost you both, haven't I? You both just fallen to pieces on camera. Coughing, spluttering, choking.
Wow.
Right. So should you release the inner beast, you will also get access to our Discord server, where you can join the extremely excellent community that we have there, and the oasis of the online community, as we call it. Going up also to Sixo's Butler and GBC, you can commission minisodes. You can listen to all the minisodes that we've already got, and GBCs will also get access to our ongoing mini-series. Now, we have been doing a mini-series on More Than Meets the Eye and also on Unicron Trilogy. And today, as Liam begins his odyssey into other toy lines, that will mean that the third mini-series that we've been dying to introduce is about a month or so away. So if you enjoy what you get today, know that there is more of that coming. So patreon.com/triple takeover.
Yeah, if you want to get nuts, let's get nuts.
Well, when you come in your man in pig.
Stop saying it.
I mean,
it doesn't get any better. It continues to get funnier, but
it's just taken a turn, though, hasn't it?
It really has. Wow. I don't know that this podcast will ever recover.
Can we try, though?
Get it back on track, Liam.
No, it's you with the sponsors.
Oh, yeah, it's me, isn't it? It's me talking about the sponsors. Yeah, right, absolutely. Gosh, I've come over all a fluster. Right, well, we do have 2 sponsors. First is tfsource.com for all your Transformers and third-party needs, so do check them out. Second is a UK vendor. They're kapowtoys.co.uk. Fantastic shop that they are. Do check them both out, and we will do a longer segment on them, both of them, in the middle of the pod, where we'll check out what they've got in stock and available for pre-order right now.
And if you are still hung up on Man in Pig, I know just the place where you can get some merchandise to demonstrate your love.
It'll be splattered all over a piece of merch.
Good God.
But yes, you can head over to our Rebel store where you can get your Man in Pig merchandise. You can get aprons, t-shirts, coasters, all sorts of stuff over at rebel.com/people/triple takeover /explore.
Explore.
Starcom battles against Emperor Dark.
Exterminate Starcom.
Starmax 1 under attack. Activating Magna Power. Starcom, scramble!
Only Starcom can use Magna Power, an energy source so advanced it works without batteries. Starcom with Magna Power. Stationed at toy stores in all sectors now.
It's very exciting to not be talking about Transformers for once, but Starcom. So this was like I don't want to say iconic toy line from the 80s because not everybody remembers it. And it's not up there with Transformers, M.A.S.K, Turtles, or these things. But it's safe to say it's really popular amongst those who do. Because like for me, it's one of my all-time favourites. And depending on which day of the week it is, I often refer to it as my favourite toy line.
Wow.
But that changes between this M.A.S.K and Transformers, obviously. But what about you guys? Like, you guys know I had all of these toys as a kid. But what were your guys' experiences with Starcom when you were young?
Sorry, who did your mum have to write to for you to get these? What was it like? Crunchy Nut? Was it Cornflakes? Which other?
Yeah, it was Kellogg's, yeah.
I don't know anything about Starcom. None of the toys ring any bells for me that I see. But what got me interested was Rick on Twitter, Slightly on Fire. He posted a picture of one of the Starcom toys. It was a Shadow Parasite. And I'm a sucker for a clear synthwave coloured canopy. And this vehicle had the most purplish synthwave canopy I've seen. And it was a beautiful little fighter shape. And the packaging also had this really lovely grid pattern on it. It was just my aesthetic in a toy. And I thought that would be a wonderful thing to pick up. That was approximately 2 years ago. And I still haven't managed to get one in the condition and the price range I want. But that made me notice the toy line. And then I started looking at all the other Shadow toys. And I realized that, obviously there's the thing with the magnets and the pilots. And every time I post a picture of new Diaclone toys, someone will say, that really reminds me of Starcom. So everything about the toy line I've seen so far makes me think that I would have absolutely loved it and still would.
So you never saw it in any other kids' hands or anything at school or in toy shop?
No, kids had Transformers, they had M.A.S.K, Zoids was a lot of the stuff I saw other kids have, and like action figures and things like that, but I never saw Starcom.
I must admit, I was the same. I got to tell you, like, it doesn't ring a major bell for me at all. Like, even... Well, I suppose my real education on it was today, just sitting down and going through like Transformer Land and sites like that and just looking at some of the pictures of the toys and kind of working out. And I watched Dan Larson's excellent YouTube video, Old Toy Galaxy, on the series. It's really, really good. And it just kind of breaks down, a lot of the features of the toys and things like that, and thoroughly enjoyed that. So that's really been kind of, a bit of a trial by fire for me. I have a very, very vague recollection of, fun enough, as you mentioned it, Maz, Shadow Parasite, I think, or something like it. Like, it looks like a toy that feels familiar in some way. And do you know what I think it is? Is the little sort of triangular logo sticker on right. one of the wings.
The upside down Triforce.
Yeah, right. There's something about it that feels exceptionally familiar to me. And even like the inside of the kind of cockpit and everything. I don't know if it's that specific one, and I don't know if that was something that I had. I don't think so. Or a friend that I've, as you said, that I've then played with at some point. But there's a sense of familiarity with that one toy. The rest, no.
Do you think this is going to be like the M.A.S.K episode,
He's had them all.
I never had this toy, any of these toys. Oh wait, maybe I had this one, and then everyone just keeps going, oh no, I think I had this one. This is also ringing a bell.
So many misconceptions on this podcast, honestly. I did not have a lot of M.A.S.K as a child. I had a few M.A.S.K toys, as we discovered.
It's okay, you can tweet about it tomorrow when you've bought them all. So
Right. Sure. I have absolutely no plans to go in on Starcom, and that's I'm sticking to that.
I do.
Oh,
yeah, and this is before the episode. I just want to know, like, those pilots that come with the vehicles, they're all the same size, right? They're all scaled.
Yeah, exactly the same.
How tall are they compared to, say, a Dianaut or like a Microman figure? Like, what's the size of those?
They are 2.25 inches, so they are taller and they're thicker than Dianauts, because Dianauts are very thin, aren't they? Or the modern Dianauts, should I say?
Yeah.
But they are a lot bigger. That's why I don't really use them in photography as much as I do with Dianauts, because they just tower and look like giants next to them.
Are they close to M.A.S.K figure size or definitely smaller?
Very similar size.
Oh, that's interesting. You should try putting one in a Binaltech, mate, or an alternator.
Well, I have tried putting them in vehicles before, but Dianauts fit really well into all the Starcom vehicles. They're a little bit more roomy in the cockpit, but it's better, if that makes sense. It actually looks a bit better. But they've also got the magnets in the feet, just like Diaclone. That's why I'm amazed this didn't catch your eye as a kid.
Well, Diaclone didn't catch my eye as a kid, man, so...
But that wouldn't have been around as much as Starcom. But I wonder if this speaks to why it's not so well remembered or as, iconic as those toy lines. Because obviously, if you guys didn't see it, I mean, I did. I remember the cartoon. I remember the toy line. I remember other kids having the toy line. But it falls at a funny time with like Ninja Turtles coming in, Nintendo, all of these things. I mean, even Dan Larson's video, it's excellent, but it's very short for a story of a toy line. There's not very much detail. And that's the difference between this and Transformers is like when you look it up, there is so little information out there.
I was really surprised by that. There doesn't seem to be many or really much at all in terms of like a dedicated resource to it. I didn't find, I mean, I've got to tell you, this was only like a couple of hours, do you know what I mean, today, scaring the internet. But I didn't kind of get the sense of much of an online fandom or presence or kind of dedicated resource to it or anything. Whereas obviously it's different for Transformers because it's still, 40 years later, still going. So it's going to be different. But still, even other 80s toy lines, I feel like they've got more presence online now.
Definitely. But what's interesting is whenever I post a picture of Starcom, that tends to get more engagement than most. It's like you'll see a spike, you suddenly get tons of comments from people going, oh, wow, I remember that.
Yeah, James Roberts today.
Yeah, James Roberts going on today, didn't you? Yeah, he was well into it, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's a big fan of Starcom because I've seen him post about the Shadow Upriser before.
That's fantastic.
What year did the toy line launch?
So it launched in 86 in the US, UK, and parts of Europe.
Right, and the US one was distributed or made by Coleco, and it was Mattel in the UK, right, in Europe?
No.
Okay.
So this has become like quite a common thing that people think, but it's not true. So Coleco manufactured the toy line and distributed it everywhere, but they went out of business in 1989, and that's when Mattel picked up the license.
Okay.
So I don't know if you remember Coleco at all. I think it's more of an American brand than anything.
The name I've heard, but yeah.
So in America, they were more famous for they did a video game console called the ColecoVision, little handheld games. Cabbage Patch Kids dolls, do you remember those?
Yeah.
Is that a computer game?
A computer game.
What is this computer?
So obviously they did those, but I don't know if you remember when the video game market in the early 80s crashed, so they tried to move into toys and went with Starcom, which turned out to be a big failure in America. And
that's mad because there's a lot of Starcom stock in the US compared to trying to find some in the UK.
But I think that's why, because it died. So I think it was more prevalent in boxes and stuff. It just sat around in places.
So if I'm looking at this like Shadow Parasite and I see a Coleco one, that's an 86 release. But if I see a Mattel one, that's what, a 90s release or something like that?
Yeah, well, Mattel took over in 89. But I think they would have only taken over, I think it's the European stuff, because the US only got Wave 1 and 2.
Okay.
And then Canada got Wave 3 along with the UK and Europe. And then it was after that, Wave 4 was just UK and Europe. And then that's the end, really. And that's Mattel then, because they changed the packaging.
Did they still have the US flag on the Mattel version of the toys?
So that's taken off from, I think it's Wave 3.
Okay.
So it's once it moves out of the US, they took away the flag. And they took away the name. The full name of the toy line was Starcom, the US Space Force.
Yeah, that's what the cartoon says at the start, yeah.
It's because it was designed in conjunction with NASA as part of the Young Astronaut Space Program. So it was designed to get kids into space travel and into...
You what?
Yeah, this is the idea. That's why...
The toy line was designed to get kids into space.
Yeah.
In conjunction with NASA.
Yeah, so there's little NASA logos on some of the early stuff. But also, if you look at the Starcom logo, the writing got that A that's got without the little middle bit. I don't know what you would call that on an A, the little line. But it's very similar, but slightly more futuristic. Yeah, but that's why all the vehicles, they're more sort of utilitarian, aren't they? They have weapons, but that's not the point of the good guy vehicles. It's all about cargo pods and...
Yeah, there's something quite functional about it all, isn't there? Almost, It's kind of like it's more Star Trek-y in a way, but not as futuristic as that. It's kind of like I don't know. There's a sort of realism to it all, and a sense of exploration and whatever else. That's the kind of bit that I mean about with Star Trek and that.
Yeah,
I kind of get the sense with this toy line, from what I've seen of it anyway, that you could almost not have bad guys and it would sort of be fine. You know, I'm sure the bad guys add an element to it, but it doesn't strike me as the primary objective of the toy line somehow.
Those bad guy vehicles, the shadow stuff is gorgeous.
Yeah.
That's the beeline I'm making, is towards that stuff.
Well, they all look like M.A.S.K toys to me.
Well, there's definitely an element of that. Like, you look at a M.A.S.K toy, or you look at something like G.I. Joe Rolling Thunder, and you look at a Starcom toy, and they feel like they would all have the same tactile pleasure. And you think, I love having toys that size with that kind of thing. Like, it doesn't have to worry about the intricacy of turning into a robot. I mean, I've really loved owning M.A.S.K toys more than I realized I would. And that's why I think like moving into something like this would just be spot on.
There are some similarities to those toy lines, which we'll pick up on as we go, because it's very much a toy line of its time as well. And I wonder if that's why it failed. It's because it feels like it's coming on the heels of those things as toys are moving into a different era.
Mm-hmm.
So it was done with conjunction with NASA. That's why there's US flags all over the place. But that comes off once it becomes a European thing anyway. But I always thought they made the vehicles look really cool, the American flag. It just feels more like a vehicle than a fictional vehicle, even though it's clearly a fictional vehicle and a toy. You know what I mean? It's a little bit more realistic.
Oh, so they were on the stickers as well, those flags?
Yeah, on the toys. They go all over the sides of the toys.
So if you remember them from childhood, do you remember like walking into like a Zodiac toys or BT's or something like that, or Toys R Us, and seeing like the massive Transformers shelves? What percentage of that would have been Starcom? What kind of space would that have taken up in a toy store?
I have memories of it, but I think you got to remember back in those days, a lot of it was like almost like toy line of the week. It was whatever the new thing was that came out, suddenly got like a massive shelf, and then over the months moved to little shelves. So I remember seeing them because they're really nice boxes. Have you ever seen you've seen the boxes, haven't you?
Oh man,
I love the boxes.
The boxes are gorgeous. I mean, that is also some proper like M.A.S.K. Masters of the Universe type. You know, it's G.I. Joe again. It's up there with that in terms of that. All the hand drawn
classic 80s, stylings, isn't it? Yeah.
Beautiful, really, really beautiful.
I don't know. Are you talking about the Coleco stuff with the American flag on it? Because the Mattel stuff seemed to be a little bit different. Like they had these grid patterns on the top and the bottom, and I actually found myself really drawn to that. But then I saw the Shadow Bat box.
So they are slightly different by region. The Canadian versions are allegedly slightly more orange than red. They change the colours, and then the Mattel ones, again, they update it slightly. They're still very similar in tone, so you wouldn't, as a kid, I don't think I would have ever picked up on it. And then, of course, Mattel had those crazy action packs where they just completely ignored it, sort of a last hurrah in Europe.
Oh, so the ones I saw were the ones with the like white stripe at the top with the Starcom logo and the US flag, and then a sort of orange, almost like Mars style background with the drawings of the toys on them.
So the Mattel box, very similar in style, but like the minifigures are the ones, they've got like a little grid pattern behind the bubble.
That's the thing I've seen, the Magnalock thing that's kind of how you can tell what you're looking at, yeah.
It's almost a little bit headmastery, isn't it? With the little minifigure sort of almost as the actual size sort of being advertised.
I'm totally getting like M.A.S.K and G.I. Joe vibes off that packaging, absolutely.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it?
It's stunning. Yeah, I need some of this in my life. Well, that's just what I needed, another distraction. But to be fair, I have been looking. I have actually been looking to pick one up. And I don't know where my price range came from, but like I see a Shadow Parasite box for €250 sealed and unused. And I just think that feels like way too much for this toy.
Yeah.
But that's why they're not selling, because they're still sat around. And then you see one start at £1 or something like that, and it finishes at 80, 90, and you think, okay, that seems a bit more reasonable. What is Magnalock? Is that the magnetic action of and what do they lock to? Is it just like pads? Or?
So the toy line has two gimmicks. One is Magnalock and the other one is Power Deploy. Magnalock is literally just magnets. It just attaches like that. It's basically they have little magnetic plates on stuff. Anyway, there's a magnet. That's all Magnalock is. The actual features is power deploy, which is like you'll have little buttons that activate little whirring mechanisms and things like that. But some of them are also activated by magnets, like the magnets in the feet. We'll talk about one of the command bases has got an airlock, for example, and you put the little magnetic guy on and he walks through it, just the way the magnet works when you open the door.
So does the magnet actually move him?
Well, for the entire thing. It takes him into a little room and through to the other side. Yeah.
That's cool.
I would like to see. Insert meme.
It's a really well done gimmick for Outlook, but it's very different on different toys. So that one has that, but it also has a gun where if you wind up the gun, it doesn't do anything until you insert a figure and the magnets touch, and then it trips the mechanism so the gun starts spinning.
How have these endured with the decades? Like, do you
Terribly.
still find... Oh, really? So it's very common to find the toys with malfunctioning mechanisms and stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm only missing, I think, 2 toys from the entire line. And so I've been reacquainting myself with them tonight. And the amount of them where I press the buttons and it doesn't work anymore, or it works very, very slowly and weakly.
That's a shame.
Yeah, like the tank is very, very sad because I was pressing the button. It's one of my favorites. And you press the button and it no longer shoots forward like it did. And I was like, oh, it's kind of sad.
Is that just because of, forgive me for saying, but because they're not particularly well made, or is that just because of the age of the mechanisms? And
it's just the age. It's a lot of springs. It's a lot of little mechanical mechanisms, and they've been beat up over years, and stuff just slowly dies, doesn't it?
Yeah, I can see it on my M.A.S.K toys. Like, I haven't owned a Switchblade where the propellers stay down. You know, the blades, they always pop up. The spring's gone. Yeah. My Thunderhawk, it doesn't come together properly anymore. Same with Raven. And it's just as time passes, they tend to get less and less flush. And
well, not to mention, I mean, I got to tell you, being a father now myself as well, and seeing what some of the toys go through, is just, I mean, no wonder they don't. I mean, I knew. But seeing it firsthand, sometimes, I know we all joke about it, like these have been in kids' hands, but it is quite incredible what happens to some of them, isn't it? And the punishment that they absolutely have to endure.
Oh, yeah. I just need to look at my childhood Starscream that no longer has a nose cone or a canopy or a leg, and the die cast is broken.
Right.
That's yeah.
You seem to be quite good at breaking die-cast, Maz. You've done it recently, haven't you? I mean,
I've never known anyone break die-cast. That's like a new one.
I saw an MP4 on the shoulder of Orion crumble to dust in my hands. It was just insane.
As you were entering Tannhauser Gate.
Yeah. You're the only person I know that can break metal. Yeah. It's quite impressive.
Tears in the rain.
It's Magneto.
Of diecast. It's why I never seen diecast dust before. It's like turned prime into iron filings.
It's wonderful.
But they are quite fragile anyway. I think that's one of the reasons they probably died off, was because there's a lot of parts to lose. They're very fragile, obviously go yellow, and they break.
Yeah, a lot of white toys. A lot of white toys.
A lot of white toys, yeah.
It is weird that this toy line failed, because it was just before we get to the toys quickly, we've got to mention the cartoon, and it was backed by a top animation, like all 80s shows, but it's hard, isn't it? Like when I sent you the guys linked to it today, I was like,
couldn't make 10 minutes, man. Yeah. I couldn't do 10 minutes. The intro wasn't even that.
No.
I couldn't tell if it was the intro or if it was the first episode, but that was hard work, man. The VA was not great.
Absolutely.
It's the voice acting for me that really does it. Like, I think you could probably just about get through an episode without that, because it's not great anyway. But the voice acting is so hard to listen to.
Yeah. It's really bad. It's very wooden. I got to tell you, I really tried. And then after about 5 minutes, I was quietly aware that I was, checking my phone and whatever else, because I was just like, none of it gripped me.
His exact phrase was, "Life's too short."
Yeah. I really tried. I switched it off halfway through because I was just like...
As I was walking the dog, I was reading it, saying it, as I sent it, and I just burst out laughing in the field.
Oh.
It was called Nantucket Sleigh Ride, and the first 10 minutes was about them harpooning like a space jellyfish, which then dragged a space station across a planet. No, even that wasn't enough to keep me interested.
What you were saying earlier, what Sixo was saying about the toy line seeming like it's more about exploration, that's what the show's like as well. It leans more to that. So the villains generally turn up, sabotage something, and then disappear, whilst there's almost like a lesson to be learned somewhere. But it's very much science, they dawdle a lot talking about science, which is quite fun, but you're like, oh man, spaceships, lasers, give me those. And the spaceships look so cool.
But it's not snappy.
No, it's really slow.
The spaceship of the bad guy in the intro, where it's got a face on the front and it starts... that looked wicked.
He just loves bad guys, doesn't he?
Yeah.
There's animation in that intro which reminded me of Transformers the movie. It was that sort of dynamism.
That was the one thing I would say is the animation. Actually, the animation throughout the whole thing was top draw. Do you know? Really, really good. Really good.
It was really nice, yeah.
That was a major saving grace, but even that couldn't save it, considering how bad the voice acting was and whatever else. And
it's very stereotypical as well. All the characters, you got the young sort of jock guy who just ignores all the rules, the really stiff military guy.
I thought the depiction of the female characters was very 1980s, and that was like, woof.
Tell why I only got 13 episodes and was quickly and quietly kind of like, I liked it as a kid, but I didn't like it like I like the other shows, if you know what I mean. I just liked seeing the spaceships, because the animation at times is lovely when the ships are zooming about, blowing up stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it had some amazing writers, like people who were involved in all the cartoons of the time. And so people would then go on to write Batman the Animated Series, Gargoyles, things like this. But two of the names that stood out when I was looking at it were David Wise.
Wow.
From Transformers,
yes.
the writer of Optimus Prime's origin story in War Dawn, and Marv Wolfman.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Who, if you don't know, he was a comic book writer. He did Crisis on Infinite Earths. Created Blade. Did all the Teen Titans, stuff like that.
He's a massive name.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
That's amazing, really.
So you've got all that going for it. It's backed by NASA, amazing toy lines, and it still died.
It is a strange case, and it just shows you that, because it has all the right ingredients, it has everything that it should need in some ways, but obviously either something wasn't quite clicking or was missing or whatever, or it just didn't come together in the way that it should have done.
Oh, mate. I know as a kid, if I'd watched the cartoon, I think it probably would have lost me. Or maybe I'm just a lot more critical and attention weak as an adult, because I definitely didn't want to watch any more of the cartoon. I had to stop watching it at one point to attend to something else, but I had no interest in coming back to it, even in preparation. I really wanted to be like, yeah, well, I watched all the way through, but I couldn't. And I know cartoons were what got me to buy toys as a kid.
Yeah.
And so that's probably what it is, because were you to find yourself interested enough in the cartoon to pick up the toys, I mean, who's got a bad word to say about the toys? Judging by the replies you get online, nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point. So what was, Liam, in your mind, what was the kind of missing link, if you like? What stopped this being more of a commercial success?
I think it's a mix of the cartoon being terrible, so not really selling it to anyone.
No memorable characters. I couldn't name a single character from the first 10 minutes of the cartoon. I couldn't recall a single name.
Yeah. There are no characters, but even when it comes to the toy line, it appears at a really weird time. Like Ninja Turtles turns up in 87, so that's changing. You've also got He-Man, Son of Transformers. They all seem to be hitting the same downward slope at the same time, so people are moving because G.I. Joe's going, He-Man's dying, Transformers was slowly fading away, and people are moving on to Nintendo, stuff like that. It's a very different sort of time. Dan Larson said it best when he said it was like the beginning of the 90s, and I think that's a really good way of putting it. So I think it just turns up at the wrong time for it.
Yeah.
But also, as well, it's very fiddly, the toys, there's lots and lots of pieces, so I can't imagine parents instantly looking at it like,
Yeah, I must admit, again, as a parent myself these days, I know that sometimes, you get toys and things, your kids do, and it's like, what is this? Honestly.
No, you get toys.
Well, I get toys, yeah, definitely, but he does get some as well. But, you do get bits where you think, what on earth is this? Do you know what I mean? And it is a pain in the bum. So, and I can even see his mum at times with Transformers is like, oh, can you do it? Do you know what I mean? Because she's like, just, does have that slight moment of just being fed up with being asked to help out with transformations and things. And when stuff pops off or it's fiddly or whatever, it is annoying.
What were the prices like of these toys back in the day?
They were actually quite reasonable, because if you watch the UK adverts, they range from like $1.99 to 20 quid. I think the Star Max Bomber was $19.99. I think that's what I'm sure when I sort of looked at the Argos catalogue, that's what it was, which it would have been a lot, I suppose, back then, maybe.
Well, it's about what Hamleys were charging for a Weird Wolf back in the day. So.
And that's one of the big items now, right? That's one of the big ticket aftermarket items.
Oh, you know what? It's the more popular one, but it's not even that expensive anymore. It's only the price is going up. It's only when you're looking for ones that aren't yellow.
Right.
Or with all the pieces.
Yeah.
So just like another toy line then.
But speaking of the toys, I think we should have a look at some of them.
I'd love to.
And obviously, if you're listening along, Liam will say the name of the toy, and you can Google it and check it out that way.
Yeah, we're not looking at
specific photos. Yeah.
There's not any need to see the exact photos we are we? We'll clarify in each case what the name of the toy is, I guess.
So first up, I'm going with the Shadow Parasite and the Star Wolf, because they're both very similar deployable craft. And these are pretty much the Bumblebee of the toy line, if you know what I mean. Like the small toy, the early one, the really popular one.
Right.
That's my baby right there. Shadow Parasite. How big is this toy then? Is it the size of a mini bot then?
No, it's bigger than that.
Okay, yeah. That's more G1 car size.
Yeah, but these are like the little vehicles. There are smaller vehicles, but this was like right out the gate. This is the one that's shown interacting with every different vehicle and stuff like that. So what the Star Wolf does, which is this very small white one, that folds up into basically just a little box.
Yeah.
And this is what you find throughout the toy line is there's like a...
It looks like a trolley.
Yeah.
Supermarket trolley.
There's like a cargo feature where all of the smaller vehicles are designed to interact with the large vehicles and be stored inside them.
I was just going to ask, that looks like it goes inside a crate or something, inside a little hangar.
Basically it turns into the crate. That's the idea of them.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's just a wicked little toy. So even this has got a little deploy feature. So you fold the wings up around it and then you press a little white button on the back and the wings fold down, that classic whirring noise mechanism. Like you hear on
I love that noise.
Are you able to do that for us on mic?
I am definitely able to do that. So basically it folds up into a little cube. You press the button and...
Oh,
wonderful.
It's dying.
Dopamine hit.
Boom. Still though, that is 1980s personified.
Love it.
But like all these vehicles also have a little button on the side, so you press the button and the cockpit springs open. They're all spring loaded.
Nice.
Oh wow, okay, didn't realise.
And this even has a very small feature on the bottom where it's got landing as a tiny little button and it's hidden. You might not even notice it. If you press it, they flick open.
But will it take your fingernail off like Jetfire does?
It's very rapid, but it's plastic, so
okay.
Many fingernails have been saved. But this one, it's going up in price. This one's actually turned into one of the more pricey small vehicles because even though it's plentiful, the little wing tips fold up, but they're very small pieces and they're almost always lost.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
They're really difficult to find. So I've got 2 of these and one of them is missing the wingtip.
And this would come packed with a little pilot?
Yeah. So the first 2 waves came packed with individual pilots that are vehicle-specific pilots. But once they got past wave 2, they decided to stop doing that. But this is actually quite a funny story. What they were doing when they got to the UK and in Europe, they decided to keep the pilots intact with the toys. So they would import them into the UK, open the boxes and just pull figures off the single cards and chuck them in a box, random figure, no relation, and then reseal the packages. And that's how they were throughout Europe. So that's why the later waves come with just completely random figures with no rhyme or reason. Whereas the first ones have all got very specific, really funnily named characters.
That's so weird.
Can you give us an example of the funny names?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
It's not Ali Bombay again, is it?
Come on.
Well, but it is like M.A.S.K though, because you've got like Paul, Crowbar, Corbin, from the cartoon. But then they were like Dakota, Rick Ruffing is my favourite.
Right.
Sergeant Champ O'Ryan.
Cool.
Al Cannon Evans and John Slim Griffin, all of that. But then you get like a Major Bull Gruff. That's a belter, that one.
Major Bullgruff, that definitely happens with age.
Rip Malone, James Dash, Derringer, stuff like
Ripper
that.
Malone, that definitely happens.
I was just going to say.
There's a very unfortunately named villain called Major Clag.
Definitely
That
happens
definitely
with age.
happens with age.
But the names are so boring. Like even the Emperor is called Emperor Dark.
Well,
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the nose.
Yeah. They're all very weird like that. But the Shadow Parasite is a favourite of yours, Maz, isn't it? I know you've spoken about it already.
It's just the canopy. Look at the canopy. Look at the colour of that canopy and tell me that is not what I was born to collect.
Yeah.
And also, just the shape of the craft looks really sleek. And I love the feature that just, the sides flick out. That looks really, really cool.
It would look very cool sat next to your Switchblade, your M.A.S.K Switchblade.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, absolutely, that's what it looks like.
You can see the lineage to it, can't you?
Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
100%. It is beautiful. This is what I mean. This feels very familiar. And I'm going to say this.
Here we go.
He had one.
No. I don't think I had it. But there's more and more I look at it, and the more pictures I see of it, the more feels familiar. So I mentioned the little triangular stickers, the decals, but also I guess those little grey buttons on the side of this thing, the Shadow Parasite, when you press them, the little guns flip out. Is that right?
One of them is the cockpit and the other is the guns.
The other is the guns. Okay.
I think it does the guns and the little wings extend at the back. But you see the little blue guns, they extend, but you have to pull them out. A lot of the vehicles have that. A lot of the weapons extend.
Okay. And the little cross hatch sticker on the top of the canopy, that's the magnet, isn't it?
That's the magnet, yeah.
Yeah. That totally rings a bell, that little cross hatch sticker.
That's the Magnalock system, yeah.
Yeah, that totally rings a bell. And I have memories of little magnetic feet going on that. So I swear I either had this toy or someone I knew had it. But that's the only one. It's the only one.
So far.
It's literally the first one.
It's 1 out of 1, mate.
Right. Look, we've already established it's Liam that had all of toys as a kid. So
Yes, it's so true.
So those two are two really popular ones, but they are excellent little toys. But there are so many like that through the line. Just before we move on, the full name of the Star Wolf is the F-1400 Star Wolf Flexing Astrofighter.
Flexing what?
Flexing Astrofighter.
Okay.
But yeah, it's the only one that's got like a numerical designation other than the HARV-7. So the next one is a absolute favourite of mine, and you may recognise it because it appears in a lot of photos of mine in the background a lot. It's the Battle Crane.
Okay. So
you had this.
Oh
you
my
had this
God.
as a kid. Yeah, look at his face.
Big familiarity with this. Yeah, no, I remember this.
So this toy is...
Wait. Why is it carrying one of those massive salt bins that you get on the corner of roads?
But this is the thing with the Starcom group. A lot of their features involve moving around cargo pods, so everything turns into a cargo pod, and they carry around loads. So you get loads of those little yellow cargo boxes.
So this fits inside the cargo box, does it not?
No, this can fit inside the cargo bays of the Star-M.A.K bomber and stuff like that.
Right.
But what this does, this could carry the cargo pod.
Okay.
So if you look at the photo of the one of it sat on top, that's its normal mode.
Yeah.
What you would store it away as a cargo tub.
Tub? They just say cargo tub.
Tub. Now, I'm pretty sure when this all activates and pops apart and everything, the little canopy slides forward, doesn't it?
Yeah, so the guns flick down, the little VTOL engines also come out the sides, and yes, the canopy at the front moves forward.
Oh, I know this toy.
And it extends.
I know this toy, yeah.
And then obviously the legs pull out to the sides, so it can go over the cargo pod, and it can carry it underneath. But it's also got this amazing feature, so I don't know if you can see them, but on the back there are two little black buttons, and one activates one of the mechanisms, and the other activates the VTOL wings. It activates the front thing, the extended canopy. But there's a little latch on the bottom, so what it can do is it can hold a cargo pod. So the idea is you press that, and it drops it, it lets go, it just pushes it down, so it drops it as if it's a cargo drop.
That's cool.
That's really cool. I can see why people relate this to Diaclone, like when they see the new Diaclone images, they think of this stuff.
Yeah.
It's very clear.
But it's really NASA, isn't it? The white colouring and sort of the greys. It's not like when you look at M.A.S.K, all the cars are brightly coloured in different colours. This is a thing that's like a recurring theme here. The vehicles are all very uniformly coloured.
Yeah, I really like this. What we've seen so far, it's very cool.
So yeah, this is a huge favourite of mine.
I totally scanned through all these pictures of these toys earlier and had not a jot of familiarity. And now, apart from maybe the one, and now I'm like, yeah, no, okay.
So 2 for 2 so far.
We've had 3, excuse me.
Oh yeah, there was one you hadn't had. Are you sure your mum didn't just get it for you without a head and you don't recognise it without a head?
Again, I don't think I had them. I'm wondering, I don't know, maybe my stepbrother or something? I don't know, but someone had them in the periphery, but I don't think they were mine.
Okay.
Looks great. Really does. Even that salt box lifting Amazon.com delivery vehicle, it looks great.
Yeah, it does look a bit like a drone or something, doesn't it? Almost.
Yes.
So I'm gonna go to this most iconic toy next, because so much of talking about these toys is how they interact, and the best way to show you is by showing you the toy. So this is the Star-M.A.K bomber, which is the toy everybody gravitates to straight away.
This toy is beautiful.
Right, now, here's the funny thing.
Do you just want to take over the episode?
I've got no recollection of it. Don't worry, I'm just messing with you.
Damn, what a shame.
I know you would be gutted.
Oh,
Flexo.
Wait, which one is actually called Flexo? One of them's called Flexo.
No, probably.
Flexo buys it all. That's the Starcom pilot.
Don't come at me, honestly. Toybox Soapbox mum buys it. All these, I don't know. I've got no suitable insult for you, but you had all the toys.
That's the past. Lost it all.
Mate, I can see behind you, don't you?
They're all laid out on the floor.
Right. Piles of toys.
I was very surprised you could see that. But yes, so this toy is like it's almost like the workhorse of the toy, if you know what I mean. Like this is the
it's
one,
amazing. Yeah,
the main toy. So in the show, all of these vehicles, they're not singular vehicles like you would get in M.A.S.K. So you would see a lot of this as the working shuttle in the show and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's such a good toy, and it's the one that it has every feature done probably to the best point to show somebody how it works. So if you see the cargo pod at the back, that extends, and you see little ramps flip down. That's another feature of this toy line, little things like that. And I think I said this during Diaclone, or there's another episode, and I was saying one of the reasons I love this toy line is tiny little ramps and things like that, because it feels like it works within your own imagination, in the world you create.
Yeah. I could totally see that. I love the little pop-out bit.
Yes.
I presume the pilots can stay in there as it slides back into the main body of the thing, right?
Yeah. So you can take that cargo pod out.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, that can carry troops, but you can put any of the vehicles in there as well, like we see in the smaller ones. And there's loads more that all go in the back there, and it closes up on a little mechanism. And either side, there's a latch. So on one side, it lifts you see the canopy at the top?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, love it.
It lifts that up, and there's another button to activate the canopy at the front, a separate button, so it's individual. But the other one, you pull it back, and this opens with a little whirring noise.
So all of these canopies, even like the front one, the cockpit, they're all on little whirring mechanisms. They're all on gears and stuff. They're not just ones that you open yourself.
No, everything is a button. So on this toy, if you look at the front of the nose, there's a cylindrical button on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
You push that in, and that's the front canopy. And on the opposite side of it, you can't really see it in the picture, but it's like a little turning button, like a dial.
Yeah.
And as you twist that, the landing gear from the front slides forward and out in a really neat motion.
I'm just thinking, like, there's so many points of failure on this toy, aren't there? Like, if you were to buy one of these, you'd have to really hope everything worked. Otherwise, you're missing out on so many key play features, right?
Yeah, that's it. This is one of the reasons it's often quite cheap, because always the guns are missing. There's little bombs at the back with metal on the top, so they can be used, attached to magnets and stuff. It's got like the the carpet bombing sort of feature. Like basically, you twist it and it's got a little hole so the bombs can drop through. But they've also got metal on top, so your magnets can connect to them and lift them up and stuff.
Nice.
But all of that stuff's always missing. And this toy is almost always yellow as well. I think even mine's discoloring on one side, which is really depressing.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, yeah, you mentioned it earlier, but the yellowing, along with all the gears and the mechanisms and everything, it's perhaps no surprise that you pay a premium for mint copies of this. Because the second I looked at this, it's a catalogue picture from the 80s that we're looking at here, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the first thought I had was, I wonder how many of these toys are left looking in that condition now.
It's Jetfire syndrome on this thing.
100%.
The tellers, the stickers, because they're clear, it's really lucky.
Right.
So you can tell if somebody is messed about with it and done the whitening trick, if they've still got the stickers on, because underneath the sticker is usually a different colour.
I bet those stickers look like crap as well when on some of the toys, because they peel around the corners, don't they?
Crumble, yeah. But also, you can't see it in these pictures because for some reason they haven't shown it, but the two, I don't know if you can see at the side, under where it says Starcom, there are two panels, and again, they flip out like on the Shadow Parasite with extended guns.
Nice.
That's the thing. The pod at the back that contains those other pilots, are you just able to push that in and the ramps go back up by themselves?
No, you have to flick each ramp up on either side.
Okay.
But it's really good because it's designed more for the vehicles, when you've got the cars in, so they can roll out.
So that lifter that you showed in the last image, that could fit into the back of this?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so could the Star Wolf and all the little cars.
Fold it up, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the core ideas of the line is all the smaller vehicles can go in there. They turn into little cargo pod type thingies. So it's just a really nice touch. It's just a fun little thing, because we're so used to all these toys having weapons and stuff. And obviously these have weapons.
And how big is this toy?
It's quite big.
Is there like a Transformers toy you could compare it to, vehicle-wise? Is it bigger than G1 Scorponok?
Skylinks. It's bigger than Skylink.
Okay.
That's sizable.
Yes.
When the back's open, it's obviously much longer. When it goes down, it's much shorter.
Yeah,
it's quite a big toy, but it's not a massive toy. I got this from a car boot as a kid, right around when it came out. I went and it was just there for 90p, complete with everything. And it was in the summer when it was out as well.
Wow.
How do you remember that?
Well, you wouldn't forget it, would you?
No.
Well, no.
Yeah.
I went through this funny phase of going to car boots where it was almost like I'd go in with this idea like, man, I really want this. And then I would find it at the car boot, in mint condition. It was like a weird phase.
I'm just always impressed with both of your abilities to remember the sort of minutiae of detail of like particular finds from, when you were kids. I just got no, honestly, other than the headless aerial bots turning up in my home. Very little recollection.
Well, as we're discovering, you can't remember owning every toy ever made until it comes up in a photo in this podcast.
Seems so, doesn't it? So, yeah. Although I definitely did not have this one.
It's a little bit sad because I'm getting the feeling that the magic of these toys only lives in memory because of the way they deteriorate mechanically and visually as well.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you were to buy a totally mint Starmax bomber today, and I know where I can find one, it's white apparently, like completely non-discolored. How long do you think it would last before it started to fall apart? Or would something like that has never been played with actually be in excellent shape? And were you to preserve it properly, you'd enjoy it for years? Like, do you know?
No, well, it really depends because it's the yellowing can happen from anything, can't it? And
Yeah.
it's such a problem with this toy line. Like almost everything you see, it's very rare you'll ever see like any of the bases, for example, the command base or the HQ that aren't yellow. Most of these, they just go in now. It's just old. But the mechanisms, like some of mine still work absolutely fine. So I imagine if you got one that was mint in sealed box, it might be yellow, but the mechanisms would still work fine.
I think I'd be all right with that, honestly.
Yeah.
Because it's the mechanisms I'm really interested in.
It's just they jet fire. You know, they go like a really horrible yellow over time.
Yeah. Oh, do they have any die cast on them? Or is it all plastic?
It's all plastic.
Okay. So it would all yellow uniformly then. It wouldn't be like you'd have Jetfire's legs half plastic, which is yellow, and half white painted die cast.
On my Starmax bomber, one half, it's on one side. It's almost very neatly done, sadly.
Are you sure it's not just a rare half yellow variant?
Yeah. But next up is its counterpart, which I don't know if you've seen this toy.
Shadow Bat.
Oh
This
my
one
god.
is almost like it's cruel for M.A.S.K. Oh my god, did you have this as well?
No, I did not.
This is dream. Look at the two shadow parasites that clip into it. This is just a dream toy. I am so into this. So into this.
That is great. So these are your photos, Liam, that we're looking at here.
Yeah.
Can I say the best photography I've seen of Starcom by some country mile?
Yeah, no question.
Oh, thank you.
It looks really, really good. That is such a beautifully designed toy. Yeah, it's two little shadow parasites, right? Did they come with this?
Oh, hang on. You've asked me a question I don't know the answer to.
Well, it had to happen eventually.
Isn't there like a gift set version where you get all three and then there's like a singular pack version as well? Because it's a pretty solid standalone toy by itself anyway.
You know what? I was actually looking at this earlier because I saw a photo that someone had with a box without it in it. So yeah, it must have. Mine came with them, but I didn't get mine. I got mine from somebody else.
So on Transformer Land, it's listed without them.
Yeah, so you can see the little tray. They come in there.
Yeah. So I guess you have to buy two parasites to fit separately into the little pods.
Luckily, I have two.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I'm sure I heard this. I think it was from Rob, actually, that in France, there's like a unique release which actually has them all in, right?
Oh, okay.
There are a couple of different little box sets like that, but there's so little information on them, it's hard to know, how many there are. I've never seen that one, only the Action Fleet set with the Starmax Bomber and the Star Wolf and some other bits and bobs. But Rob could be right, but I've never seen that one.
Oh, this has got all the wrong ingredients for me, man.
All the right ingredients.
It's just mysteries, unseen packaging, unsolved mysteries, beautiful toy art, gorgeous toys themselves, lots of little gadgets and stuff, perfect for diorama photography. It's a bad mix, man.
Maz is like, hello, darkness, my old friend.
Hello, Shadow Bats, my old friend.
Yes.
This has, if you look on one of the photos, you can see there's like a launch pad, opens at the bottom, like a little cargo bay.
Yes.
So you can fit other vehicles. So that is the little Shadow Raider and the Shadow Spy next to it. The Shadow Spy turns into a small cargo pod as well.
Okay, so it's a separate toy.
Yeah, this one is specifically designed to mimic like a Starcom pod, so it's like light blue when it transforms. So it's like, as a spy would.
Okay.
But it's quite funny that both of these, they're very tiny little vehicles, but they can both sit two people on them.
So the little Shadow, what's it called? Shadow Raider?
No, I think that's the Shadow not the Shadow Invader.
I think that's a Culture Beat song from the 90s.
Yeah, right. Oh, Shadow Invader.
Definitely that one. It's a Culture Beat song.
Indeed.
Oh, yeah, it is the Shadow Invader, isn't it? Yeah. Right. And the other one is the Shadow Spy.
Shadow Spy. So the Shadow Invader is a separate toy as well?
Yeah.
Okay. And then...
So
you're really flexing with these photographs, aren't you?
Yeah, he is.
These Starcom pictures.
Yeah, taking 6 overall. But the ramp has a little button you can press, so it pops the ramp up to make the cars roll out as well.
Check out Mr. All of Starcom here.
I'm too short.
Well, that's a separate topic, but...
Like I said.
Oh, God.
I can ride these rides,
Sorry, Liam.
Anyway, that ramp at the bottom, when you activate that ramp, does it elevate the entire top of the vehicle?
Yeah.
Oh, that's mad.
That's cool.
It's a really big toy.
Looks it.
So that ramp just sort of comes out. So yeah, it lifts it up. And yeah, like I say, there's a little button you press. If you can see the little blue ramp underneath it, that flips up. A bit like is it Triptychon or which one of the Decepticon bases is a button you can press? And oh no, is it Scorponok on his chest? The little ramp, so it shoots them off.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So it basically just tries to do that. But yeah, the Shadow Invader there, the little one, that extends. So the front wheels pop out and the back wheels do, and it flips the gun out. But it's also got a pullback motor in it because some of them do.
Wow. Maz, I'm totally imagining this thing with the two parasites sort of raised the ramp, if you like, with the little Shadow Invader or whatever his name is coming out the bottom as like a display on the top of one of your cabinets next to your M.A.S.K toys. I think that would just look,
Were there any space, thanks to episode 29 and Energon and Superlink, that would be absolutely my jam. I'm just imagining that ramp opening and like a cheeky Waruda coming out.
Yeah, it would be cheeky.
I've just dropped in the chat a picture of the Shadow Invader in its extended mode. So it's that little rocket launcher on the back, so you can carry somebody else.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's very big powered, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very big powered, yeah.
It's very little. It's a very little buggy-like vehicle. Like, it's not one of the most interesting looking, but it's the way it falls out of the other vehicles.
How nice are those wheels with the logo on the wheels?
Super nice.
And again, the guns that extend.
Do you know, this is... what this actually is to me is it is Diaclone, but if anything, it's like Diaclone Reboot in the 80s.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it
really
feels
is.
like. Yeah.
It doesn't remind
Minus
me...
robot modes.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't... Yes, minus robot modes.
They must have had some inspiration from it. We know they were taking toy lines from Japan and looking at them and things like that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
They must have had samples of those toys and been looking at them and going...
Because one thing the Diaclone Reboot line has done that the original Diaclone line didn't do as much was that all of the... It's really kind of expanded on all the little vehicles and pods and things, and there was some of that in the original line, but even then, a lot of it came with the big toys and things like that, and it was kind of built in, whereas here you're getting separate little vehicles, little gantries and things, and it really feels like a vintage equivalent of the Diaclone Reboot in a weird way, more than vintage Diaclone does, bizarrely.
Yeah, there's a lot to like here. Am I right in saying one of these little pilots has a moustache?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Do the helmets come off?
No, some of them...
Bad luck to you. No bag of hats for you, mate.
There is a Emperor Dark. He doesn't have a helmet.
Well, I'm not collecting them.
You'll like this, Maz. Little bit of trivia. He was the only available as a mail away in Canada.
The Emperor Dark.
Mail aways, Maz. Mail aways.
Mail away.
I refer you back to the song at the start about not being able to afford any of these things.
But what was amazing about him was I was reading that about him as being a mail away only available in Canada, and then I was messing about with the Shadow Bat, and he was sat inside it. I have no idea how I have that at all.
Wow.
That is lucky.
So that is the Shadow Spy that's also in that photo that you're looking at.
Cool.
Turns into a little pod, which looks like...
God, it's got a little manned gun, doesn't it?
So if you look at the pod, you can start to see the theme of little vehicles all turning into that sort of similar looking pod like that.
Yeah, that's super cool. I love the little platform at the back with the kind of two-handed, little gun.
Yeah, that's very Ironhide and Bumblebee in more than
that thing. Absolutely is. It does look a bit Cybertronian, that, as a jet, doesn't it? In a funny way.
What's also cool about that is you'll like this, is it can fit in the things on top of the Shadow Bat, the triangles, kind of slot in there.
Of course, so you could actually put the Parasite in or this thing.
It's not as perfectly fitting, but it fits fine. Just sits in there neatly.
That's nice. That's good design.
Damn. This looks like a lot of fun.
It is so Diaclone. It's like I was saying Dia Battles. You remember the whirring noise on his chest?
Oh yeah.
That's what I remember when we were saying it's very, very Starcom.
And
Zoids.
Zoids is what I remember that from. Definitely.
This is lovely. Absolutely lovely. I love it.
The Transformers will return after these messages.
Well, it's that time for the bit of the pod where we talk about our sponsors for the evening. That is tfsource.com and kapowtoys.co.uk as ever. And they may not have any Starcom right now, given that it's a bit old and kind of vintagey. But they do have plenty of lovely other stuff. So we're going to check some of that out right now. I'm going to look at tfsource.com first of all. What's caught your eyes, lads?
MPG-05 Trainbot Cezanne Radiant Combiner.
Oh, nice.
It's a train. It's old. It's a combiner. It comes from Diaclone. Transforms. They're beautiful. Did I mention it's a train? Yep, sold.
It's got a big sword.
Epic big sword. It's not just that, like, it's the fifth one in the series. Look at it.
Yeah.
It's amazing looking. I just want to play with that train. Look how good that looks.
Yeah, it does look really, really good. Absolutely. The train mode might be one of the best so far. Like,
what a little bird picture on the front. It's got a logo of a bird with a blue background and like a gold little crest above it, and then
the colours as well. Like, you don't see many transforming toys that colour, like that specific shade of mocha, I want to say, with red, with the red stripes and stuff, and the little blue tinted windows and the blue logo with the bird on it, and just beautiful.
It's Chrome Dome as a train, and look, he's got a Fair Lady's Headlight gun as well, and he turns into the side of Raiden's ankle. It's just brilliant. It's fantastic. How do they make these look better every time? I'm so in on that. I just couldn't be more in. I'm more in than a man in a pig.
Yeah, well, having recently finally got around to transforming Getsui, I'm like, I'm just blowing past that, by the way. Like, totally,
blowing?
Yeah, blowing past it, right. Poor choice of phrase. Having recently transformed Getsui, finally, I'm in love, man. I absolutely love it. So I'm totally
You're
with
blowing
you.
the pig's house down.
That's it.
I'm not doing that. Leave Maz alone with that one. What's caught your eye, Liam?
I've gone with the thing I knew Maz was going to pick, which was the TM13 Tactical Mover Argo Versalta Voyager unit. I had to say it all, not as well as Maz does, but I had to say it all.
It's Diaclone.
Yeah, it's this Diaclone submarine dude. Look at those missile pods. And he's got a trident.
2 tridents. He's got 2 tridents.
2 tridents.
It looks amazing. Yeah.
Flippers. He's got flippers.
The flippers are cool.
He's actually got flippers. Yeah.
That's so beautiful. Gorgeous toy.
I didn't think they could make Diaclone cooler, and then they've done underwater Diaclone, and it's like, whoa, you made a Dia boat.
Right after the satellite one as well.
Yeah.
So do you know what it was? So it looks amazing anyway. The missile pods are cool. And then I saw it has a periscope, and I was like, no, oh my God.
The periscope on the top.
And it goes inside, it goes back in, it retracts. I was like, oh no.
Did you scope that out, did you?
It perished.
Yeah, indeed. Well, that's a hard act to follow, those 2 toys, because I've got to tell you, they look pretty exceptional, both of them. But I think I'm going to go for ST-01 Commander. And this is a fairly nondescript third-party toy, but it's... what are you laughing at?
What, just ST Commander?
Well, no, it's not that. No. So this is another thing. This is not
fairly nondescript.
I was going to say, don't you own like 15 of them now?
Well, that's my point. It's fairly nondescript in terms of what the description is about, because it's actually a third-party masterpiece styled Blitzwing. But it's right there. If you look under in stock, I think, actually, or bestsellers. No, it's under bestsellers. But it's right there. It's a little masterpiece style Blitzwing that's just been unveiled only recently. And it's kind of like...
Oh, yeah, seen this thing.
Yeah, kind of cartoony style Blitzwing. Looks pretty cool. France Toys don't appear to be getting theirs out anytime this millennium. So, you know, this could be a good option. And I got to tell you, I think the tank mode looks pretty awesome.
Jet mode, dude.
I was going to say, yeah.
The jet mode is the money.
The jet mode is something. So I'm into it, man. If this is good, like this is a new company as far as I'm aware, unless it's an old company with a new name, you know, which does happen. This could be the business.
I'm feeling that jet mode. That is so G1 Blitzwing toy.
Yeah.
It's superb.
Yeah, which I think you kind of need. I never like it when they take Blitzwing's jet mode and make it look like the real jet that it's supposedly modelled after, because that's just not Blitzwing to me. And I get that that's what some people want, but personally speaking, not for me. So this thing, yeah, definitely looks like it's going to be one to pick up.
It just looks like a massive version of the G1 toy.
Yeah.
It's really nice, actually.
I'm into it. Right, let's head on over to kapowtoys.co.uk. That was, of course, tfsource.com for all your Transformers and third-party needs. So looking at Kapow, what's in stock here that's caught your eyes then, lads?
I would want to say the Diaclone that Liam said.
Right.
But I'm going to go for the most obvious choice. It's the first one on the page. It's Fans Hobby Master Builder Galva Tyranno. It is the Galvatron colours of the Meg Tyranno, which was my favourite third-party toy of last year, and probably one of my favourite toys at all of last year. So they've repainted it into the Galvatron, Energon Galvatron colours, and it really, really, really works.
Yeah, it looks great.
I know how good this toy is. I know how amazing it is in hand. That's going to be a surefire winner, and that is absolutely bang on. Number one choice.
I really like what they've done with the eyes, with the kind of way that the red eyes kind of bleed into the sides of the helmet. I think that looks really cool.
That's really good, yeah. I don't put the batteries in these things enough to play with those kind of features, but that looks like a must-do.
Oh, mate, I've got a whole stock of those little batteries now in all kinds of different shapes and sizes and everything. It's ridiculous. I could open a business. But yeah. What about you, Liam?
I am going with Wonderful Trans WTO1 White Ronin, which is a third-party drift I have never seen until just now, and it looks incredible.
This thing is stunning. Absolutely stunning.
The price is really good as well. It just looks amazing. Where did this come from?
The robot mode looks like the kit. Do you remember?
Yeah.
I think it's the flame
The flame toys.
Yeah.
I thought that's what it was at first. I was like, oh, is it a KO with the flame toys? But it's not. It transforms. It's a toy. It looks amazing.
Yeah, and the thing is, you would have been happy to just buy that thing for the robot mode. It's that good. And then you see that it turns into what looks like a cross between a Pagani Zonda and I think it's Armada Blur or something. It's just wow.
The MMC one was nice, but this is a whole different level. I love the engine thing at the top. It almost looks like a Unicron Trilogy toy.
I must have this.
Yeah.
Please be good. Please be good.
How is this not like making enormous waves? It looks amazing. That robot mode is stunning. It's got that perfect mix of like super robot Japanese design, doesn't it? That drift always leans into in the comics, but toys don't really catch in the same way. It looks amazing.
Yeah, 21 centimeters tall, so it's not insignificantly sized.
Ah.
I think it's it's out a few places already because I just checked and
Yeah, Kapow have it in stock.
Yeah. And there's a couple of video reviews of it up already. Ben's Collectibles and all the sort of usual suspects that get up the videos sort of pretty quickly. They've all done it, so it's out there to check. It does look amazing.
How cool do those wheel hubs look? It just looks like a Vector from the 80s, doesn't it?
Man, whoever's designed it is proper channeling some mad stuff with this because it's amazing.
Yeah. I'm so in for this, honestly. I've got to find a way of getting this in hand.
You know what's cool though? It's so pointy and robotic, and then you look at the front and it's just got those curved fenders, with the lights on the front. It just takes the shape to something else. Really Batmobile-y. It's wicked. Absolutely wicked.
It's sort of masterpiece size as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. That's caught my eye now too. Damn you. Well, I think for me, though, I'm going to pick something just a bit unusual just to mention, actually, which is this Studio Series Core Terracon Freezer. Just because, what is this thing?
Apparently it doesn't turn into a freezer. I did ask on Twitter.
Yeah.
I assumed it being very literal. Transformers' names are always quite literal. But
Right. Well, we don't know what it turns into, do we?
I think there was a picture of it lying down, actually.
Oh, was there?
It's like some sort of like cannon platform. Like the plan was for the original Universe Galvatron was supposed to have some sort of artillery gun mode thing.
Right. Yeah, this is... it's pushing the boundaries a little bit, isn't it? Let's be fair. This is not going to win over anybody that was really hopeful the kind of Bayformers era was over. I think that's fair to say. I think that's it's going to win some ire from those particular fans.
Do you think it's quite strange having that design being so Bayformery and the juxtaposition of that with the RC, which is so similar to the Bumblebee films? It's a really odd clash. Like the Decepticons all look very Bayformery, but the Autobots are all very Bumblebee movie.
I think we're in an odd place with Rise of the Beast now, and it's a separate discussion. It's not for now, but I do think we're in a weird place with it where the more that's revealed, the more it seems like maybe they're trying to have their cake and eat it a little bit with all the different kind of film influences that we've had in Transformers so far. And I think by maybe trying to appease everybody, they're not actually winning everybody over. I don't know.
Yeah,
we have not seen it all yet, so it's hard to comment, isn't it? And I did like the trailer, so
it looked great. So.
Yeah, so we'll see. I think this is ultimately going to be, if it is indeed in the film, which I guess from Studio Series you would expect it is. I would totally imagine it's some background thing.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to be,
I mean, you see, like with this Freezer guy, you say we'll see, but I think the problem is you can't unsee.
Right, indeed. Yeah. I mean, it'll depend what it's like in motion. I don't know.
Can't wait to see it on screen, though. Right. I really hope it's in the movie.
So you can't unsee it?
Yeah.
It's got 4 eyes.
I was just going to say, he's got 4 eyes, assuming he hasn't got eyes somewhere else as well. So it's a thing. It exists in Transformers now. And yeah.
Canon. Literally.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, that's going to do it for our sponsor segment for the evening. So do check them out for all your Transformers and third-party needs. We've got TFsquareone over in America, and we've got kapowtoys.co.uk on this side of the pond as well. Both wonderful sponsors. Do check them out. Thank you very much.
We now return to the Transformers.
So, Maz, a moment ago, as we were talking about the Shadow Bat and stuff like that, and you were saying about the pink canopies and the black, and there were more, you were right.
There's more. I've seen this, and this is so pretty. It's got double pink canopies.
Yep.
It's got like a VTOL thing going on, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. So this is the Shadow Vampire for those listening at home. This looks very similar to the Shadow Bat, doesn't it? But shrunk down. It's a much smaller toy, so it's got a gun handle on the bottom.
I must own this toy.
This one specifically.
Yes, it's just lovely.
But you would not want this one, my one, unfortunately, because the mechanism is bust. I noticed tonight. So we'll talk about the VTOL engine in a minute. But if you look on the front, there are 2 guns that can flip over. But one of the gimmicks is underneath there's another one of those little twisty knobs that you can twist to your heart's content. And it makes the guns go backwards and forwards. You know, the blue bits that go inside the cannons there to simulate that it's firing. But sadly, that goes on most of them really quickly. But the other thing is, it's very much like the 1989 Batman Batwing. You know how it had I don't know if you ever had that, it had like a handle with a trigger on the bottom?
Did not have that.
So it's almost like a gun. So this one, it's got like a very small handle, and you do that, you pull the trigger, and the VTOL engines flip up.
Oh, that's cool. Hang on a minute. That rings it. No, it doesn't.
And each canopy has its own individual switch again to open.
Nice.
So
I love the size of that, just looking at you holding that.
it's actually one of the more disappointing ones because it looks nice, but it doesn't have the magnet on the bottom. So even though it feels like it should pick up a cargo pod, it's one of the few that can't.
That's strange.
It doesn't really have any compatibility with that. But it does have, you know, the little flip out guns out the front, as you expect.
Okay, they aren't button operated. They're just manually, you pull them out.
Yeah, so them ones, you just have you pull them out. It's like that on some of them where you do have to just pull them.
Yeah, that happens with age.
Yeah. Yank it. But yeah, so that's quite cool, and that seats 2 people. The only thing I think is disappointing is that it is just lacking that sort of compatibility.
It's a great name as well, isn't it? Shadow Vampire.
Yeah, it's a really good name. They've got cool names. What a cool toy line.
Yeah.
I quite like the sort of theme that they've got going on. You know, Shadow Bat, Shadow Vampire, Shadow Parasite. I noticed there's a Shadow Bandit. It's just cool.
Continuing the theme of the shadow vehicles, check out this Shadow Bandit. This one is actually quite far removed from the rest of them. You know, they're all black with their purple canopies.
Oh, wow. I've never seen that before.
The picture we're looking at, they are the wings that are folded down.
Right.
Oh, so they fold out.
Yeah. So there's this feature on the back. There's like a little grey button. You push it in and they move up, but it goes like... I don't know if you can hear that.
Oh, very much so.
They lock in place and you push the button up and they go back down.
Oh,
That is amazing.
it looks a bit like a handgun, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's another one. That's why I followed the other one with it. But the reason for that, so there's a trigger, but underneath, I don't know if you can see this on the video, but there's a small little thing pops down.
Yeah.
Like a little canopy underneath.
No, it's like a little magnet. So it comes down. So the idea is it swoops in, picks up the pods and steals them and flies off.
Okay, cool. Nice.
So it's got a fun little features like that. And this one's canopy, because it's more like an F1 car where it goes over the front, there's no actual glass canopy or anything, but you press the button and it just flips forward.
Do that again. Oh, come on.
But it's so fun because it's so different to the other ones, because it's purple for a start rather than black. And it's just a very different looking spacecraft.
How well does that gimmick work of swooping down and magnetically grabbing a pod?
Really good, because it's just, you pull the trigger and it just comes straight down, so it catches it straight away, because the magnet's fairly reasonable size as well. And all of the pods are uniform in where the magnet is on the top.
Oh, nice.
I got to tell you, from the pictures, the noise of that thing, it's so 80s. From the pictures of this thing, I didn't expect a lot, actually. I was kind of like, it doesn't look as impressive as the Shadow, whatever the other thing is, Shadow Vampire, all of those. But actually seeing and kind of hearing about the interaction of it and what it can do and the way the wings flip up, that's really cool. I love it.
Yeah.
It's kind of quite Star Wars, no?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. The way they slowly move up, it's very Imperial shuttle.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the modern sort of TIE fighters you see now that have the moving wings and stuff.
It really is. Hugely so. Love it.
I love how much Maz is getting enabled on this. So I'm going to...
There's not been a bad one yet, has there?
No, but I'm going to put one that might look like an old friend to him. It might look very familiar.
Ooh.
It's Slugslinger.
There we go. So this is Starhawk.
2 cockpits.
That doesn't happen with age.
But so this toy is quite weird. It wasn't one that I had as a kid or particularly gravitated to, but as I got it, it has a feature that I had never clocked when I'd seen it as a kid. And the feature I did clock was that it opens, which I will drop a picture in. So basically, it just expands across the middle and a gun comes out.
Yeah, cool.
But what it has is spring-loaded spring-loaded landing gear, but the way the feet sit, if you look at it, it perches like a bird. If you can see it in the picture.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the reason for that, and this is why I love it, is if you look at the top, you can see 2 little grey levers.
Yes.
One on either side, and you slide them across.
I accidentally hearted it like I did those beast machines.
Oh my God.
Dad's with tech return in style.
But you can see what it does here. So the others all have flip open canopies. This does something completely different.
Ooh. Oh, they got little like coffins.
Dead man delivery.
Exactly.
It's Mr. Ed.
Do they just
Ed, of course,
drop corpses onto the battlefield or something?
But what you do is you put the figures in the seats and then you press the switch and they close back up. But the way they go back up, it's you see them in the cockpit, if that makes sense. So they come up into the cockpit.
Oh, wow.
That's too cool.
Oh, man.
It's such a cool little touch. But they've also got little bombs.
So they climb in, these sort of bottom pod things. The pods fold up and then they're sitting in the cockpit seat. That's what you're saying to me.
Yeah. You just close them up and they just obviously appear above the dash.
This toy line deserved so much better than the reception it got. It should have been a mega hit, let me tell you.
Deserve better than that cartoon.
Yeah, 100%. And I've got to tell you, and I mean this, no disrespect to some of the toy lines out there in the 80s that were big, but I feel like more time and effort went into this than a lot of stuff.
It's astonishing when you look at the features involved, like everything they chuck in.
Yeah.
But it feels really consistent throughout as well. It doesn't feel like they're just chucking things in for each different toy.
Exactly.
They're so different from each other, but very connected.
Like knowing that Masters of the Universe was as big as it was, and it's a great toy line, don't get me wrong, but knowing that they literally just took an oversized tiger from another toy line and slapped a different color paint on it, and they were like, call it a day. Do you know what I mean? And that's...
I think it's rubbish toy lines that take toys from other toy lines and change the color and make an entire series out of it. That's totally rubbish.
Just the worst, honestly. I mean, look, I got nothing against that, but knowing that that was kind of the approach, but seeing this and the level of like design and creativity and original concepts that have all gone into it, I'm just a bit mind blown, really. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, there are some incredible things, genuinely, and you can see this throughout the different factions. So most of the things we've seen so far from the Shadow Force, they're all air vehicles, but even they've got some ground ones, and they are quite spectacular in how crazy they get.
Yeah.
So here we go with the Shadow Raider.
Ooh.
Purple canopy.
And again, if you look at the small compact mode, that's how it starts out.
Yeah.
And then you press a button on the side and it expands like somebody who's just picked up, when you pick up a sandwich and it squeezes everything out the sides, like a burger, and all the mayo goes flying, all the ingredients. It's like that.
That looks very M.A.S.K in the way that does that.
But the little rocket launcher there, you have to turn it round so it tucks in underneath. It's just really neat the way it all folds in and closes up and then pops out.
That's cool.
But the tank treads there, you turn them yourself. But there is a reason for it. It's not just to look different. There's a magnet underneath so it can collect the pods as well. So it rolls over the pods or the little cars and then it can just drive off with them.
That's great.
So like the little Shadow Invader, I think it's a little one, that guy and stuff like that, or the pods. Because so much of this is about the Shadow Force stealing Starcom's pods and all of its resources or whatever.
That's super cool. When it's on its sort of larger legs...
It rolls, yeah.
It rolls, yeah. It's got little wheels. Yeah. Cool.
If you look at the picture, you can see the 2 wheels behind each tread.
I can see it, yeah.
They are actual wheels on both sides.
More than M.A.S.K, actually, this is also giving me slight Star Wars vibes, but kind of mixed with Masters of the Universe almost.
Yeah, it's very sci-fi.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just leans into so many different elements, and it does feel like all of the 80s toy lines are coming together into this one toy.
I think that's it.
Yeah, there are so many like that. So you've got the Shadow Blast Tank, which is another one of their ground vehicles, and I had this as a kid and I adored this, and I was talking about this a little bit earlier. This is one I mentioned.
Whoa, that's very G.I. Joe, isn't it?
Yeah, that the action feature is broke, so you press a button and the latch shoots and the front moves forward and the turret lifts up.
So what's this one called, sorry?
This one is the Shadow Blast Track.
Shadow Blast Track, wow.
All the compact mode is missing is a massive menacing plant, and it's just a mastermind, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's out of Jason the Wheeled Warriors.
It looks like a face on the front. It looks like the front of the Decepticon logo. The eye slits and the pointy face. It's almost just like it hasn't got the little...
I've never heard of it.
It hasn't got the jowls.
Kind of reminds me of Tankor from Beast Machines a little bit.
Yeah, you can see that actually. But the turret lifts up, and on this picture it's sort of broken there, but there's like... On mine, there's a small little canopy that flips open and a screen that pops forward. But there's also a cannon underneath, and there's a door on the back that opens, a big, cargo door.
Yeah, what's the? Is it a cargo door? You can put stuff in the back there.
No, because that turret is in the way.
Ah,
So basically, you just get the cylinder of the turret. But once that rises up, then you can put stuff underneath it.
then you can put stuff in. Cool.
So you can carry it about with that.
How did these toys feel? Like these last two ground tank-like vehicles, like do they feel extremely hollow and light, like I imagine some M.A.S.K figures do, or are they like really chunky and heavy?
They are quite hollow, but it's just because of the features. Like there's a whole internal cockpit and obviously the cargo bay and where things have to go. But they don't feel cheap hollow, if you know what I mean. It doesn't feel like they've done that to cut corners or anything. It genuinely feels like a choice. Mm-hmm. So they feel just really well made.
Just wonderful. Just love it.
Yeah. Even that little gun pops out the front.
Love how it all looks together and everything. It's really selling the toy line, going through it in detail like this and kind of making the most of what some of the features are, because
it's really coherent. You
know,
yeah. It's super coherent as a toy line, and I think actually the play pattern involved is what ultimately, I mean, they're beautiful toys anyway, but it's what really turns them from just being beautiful things into fully interactive, great toys.
Yeah. So there's so much of this, it just changes. Because like you've got this toy, which is crazy, and this pops up in photography of mine quite often as well. It's called the Sky Roller.
Sky Roller.
Yeah, I've seen this one in your pictures.
I have as well, yeah.
So it doubles up really nicely as a building, from the sides.
Right.
Oh, that's so perfect for photographs. Even yellowed, it looks like it could so easily just be in a starbase.
Yep. So it's got it's got the ramp on the front, but it's folded up in this picture, but there's a little ramp right on the front there, very flush against it, that flips open so the car can actually roll to the floor.
Look at the detailing of the greebling on the flatbed part.
Mm.
And you can see on the roof there's two doors that open that you can slot figures in and stuff like that. And the seats there, they slide out either side for them to go in. They click. They don't come all the way out either. They only come out one seat either side. That's a wicked toy. But it's another one where you press a button and it just raises up by itself. Fortunately, mine still works. So that's great.
What are you supposed to do when the buttons don't work? Can you actually physically extend these things?
Yeah, you can move them up. They're just a lot looser. They're never like super floppy either. Yeah, it's just a shame when they go. But these are the Astro Marines, because there are 6 factions in this bloody Starcom thing.
That's crazy.
You've got Starcom, the Shadow Force, but they've each got 3 different groups. So the good guys are the Star Wing, which is all the spaceships, which are all white, and the Astro Marines, which is all the grey ground vehicles. And then you've got the Star Base Command, which are obviously the Starbase guys.
Mm-hmm.
And if you notice, all the little figures have got different colours and they've got little symbols, and the vehicles all have the symbols on, so they each correspond to that. Whereas the other guys are the Star Armada, the Invasion, and the robot drones.
Yeah, okay.
The Invasion ones, it just feels a little bit half-assed, but they're, again, quite good. But the robot drones are all quite cool little figures.
Nice.
I really like this last one you've put on. That's something I'd love to have in photos.
I'm a big fan of this because it's so versatile for photos, but it's just a fun toy. It's got some massive guns.
Yeah.
So these things all carry stuff around.
Imagine like having 3 or 4 of these lined up. How cool that would look.
I know. So we've got this one as well, which follows on a similar theme. So you've got the Harv 7, it's called, which is basically like the Starcom version of a bin lorry.
That's exactly what it is. I've seen this around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So can you guess what this toy's action feature is?
Klexi bins?
It picks up the cargo and puts it into the back, doesn't it?
It's exactly what it does with a magnet on it.
Of course, exactly what it looks like. It is just a rubbish truck. Amazing.
But I love how it is definitely like the most utility-based one, but then it's the one they've slapped massive guns right into the driver's side of the thing as well. It's almost like apologetically, like we've got to have a gun right in the front there.
Yeah.
2 on the side for our bin lorry and 2 on the top.
So this is the line of apologetic gun.
Yeah. It's the most heavily armoured thing I think we've seen so far.
This has a very neat Diaclone-like thing on the back. So when you flip the switch to activate the gimmick, a little red foot flips down to the bottom. I don't know if you can see it in that picture where you can just see the back. It's very small, but it's just like a stabilizing foot, like on Optimus Prime's trailer.
Yeah.
But it flips by itself down to keep the toy stable.
That's cool.
It doesn't need to, but it's just for the effect, keep the illusion going.
Can I just ask, Sixo, are you accidentally hearting these?
No, I gave that one a heart on purpose. Very much. No, I actually know what I'm doing with the heart feature. It's not accidental heartage here. I don't give my heart away by accident.
What are the other 2 vehicles in the pictures of this, like behind it? Do they interact with it at all?
These are 2 of my absolute favourite toys in this toy line. One of them is the Laser Rat. And so both of these, they're really, really small. Like the Shadow Invader, that little car. This is the Starcom equivalent. They're very, very small, compact little vehicles that basically look like cargo pods, but then they flip open and can carry 2 people.
Sorry, did you say Laser Rat?
Laser Rat.
And does this get sold one per package?
Yeah, it's like a very small vehicle. So you press a button and the wheels just pop out.
See, that's one thing I wonder.
You pull the wheels out, sorry.
I wonder if that acted against this line's success, because with Transformers, you could buy loads of small, cheap toys and they were completely standalone.
Yeah.
And they were robots, they had personality. With this, you just know that there's a ton of playability that is locked within a bigger vehicle that you have to buy. Like, on its own, yeah, it's pretty nice looking, but when you know what else it can do.
But that's so much of it. And so it folds down into a little pod. So I will add a photo now of the other one in that picture, because this one was really one of my favorite toys as a kid. This is one I really remember getting, from my grandma.
So you extracted loads of play value just from this single small vehicle. You didn't feel like it was missing all the interactivity with the bigger vehicles?
Nah, mate, I had most of the big vehicles, didn't I?
That'll be it then.
Look who you talking to.
This is the one that I really remember getting, and this one I had on its own for a lot of the time.
Okay, so this is similar but not quite the same as the previous.
The vehicle mode, it folds down again into the small little...
Yeah.
The small mode is basically the storage, and then it whirs up and pops up. But this one I can remember how it tastes, because you see the guns on the top. I don't know if you can see that picture, but they're not fully extended, because they're very thin nubs, so I used to have to use my teeth to pull them out.
So what is this called?
This is called the Railgunner.
This is the Railgunner.
Yeah. So what happens here is there's a little seat that I don't know if you can see it on the top of the magnet there.
Yeah.
So that flips down to form a seat, and then the bit behind goes up really slowly, a bit like I can't remember the black car's name on M.A.S.K now.
Jackhammer, yeah,
that's the one. It turns into a little seat that flips open with a little magnet on top. But again, the wheels can be extended to make it look bigger than it is.
That's super cool.
There's loads of these little vehicles that are designed like this, where they've got a secondary mode, which is all about being able to store inside the other toys.
What was the dump truck called?
The Harv 7.
Right. I like the look of the dump truck.
Yeah, that's quite a fun one.
Would these little vehicles be able to drive into the back of that and that would pick them up?
Yeah, because they're all similar to the pods that it comes with. They're all very similar size.
I don't know of another toy line that was this interconnected.
Yeah.
All the toys.
Everything is designed to interact with everything else.
It's incredible.
Quite spectacular. Yeah. There is another one that follows the same pattern called the Missile Fox.
Great names too, can I say?
The Missile Fox. They're brilliant names.
Yeah. They're all different. Like, so many toy lines struggle to resist the temptation to just redeco something or slightly retool.
Yeah.
But all of these are completely different, even when they look similar. This one's got a rocket launcher.
Yeah.
And I know this because I regularly hear that rocket go shooting off across my room in the background. I have to go and find it.
One of those.
And then I keep wondering, why do I keep putting it back in? Like,
yeah.
How have you not done a massive group shot of all of these vehicles? Like all of the ones themed like this and then all of the shadow vehicles? Because I feel like a kid would have really had to have a lot of buy-in to go deep on this toy line. Like they really would have had to be committed to buying lots of boxes on wheels.
I keep meaning to.
The other thing, actually, thinking about that and on that theme, is that you'd have had to have, because there's a lot here, and they don't strike me as necessarily the cheapest toys, some of the bigger ones and everything. So you would have presumably, as a kid in the 80s, had to have foregone a lot of other toy lines, like that your parents and grandparents and everything would have naturally been buying you, like Transformers, M.A.S.K, all of that kind of stuff, Turtles, whatever. There's an element to which you would have had to have said to people, no, Starcom, please. Do you know what I mean? Like, really get me Starcom toys if you wanted to get like a decent amount of these things. So it's commitment.
I had quite a lot of them. I didn't have all of them, despite what you might think. I had a healthy amount, but now I've got nearly all of them. So just to round out these little pod vehicles, I'll put the rest in because they're quite funny. So this is the Shadow Attack Trike, which again is another small vehicle designed with that in mind, which the actual vehicle mode looked really transformery. I don't know what it is. There's something about just the colours.
Yeah, I see that.
They've thrown a lot more colour with these small vehicles. So even the Starcom side, you've got this, the Sidewinder, which also turns into something that can store inside. And it's the only one of the air vehicles that isn't white. It's like a blue colour, which comes back later. But so these are all, you see the way it folds, it looks like it shouldn't store, but it does.
Yeah.
And when you were getting these as a kid, at no point did you feel like it was starting to get a bit old hat, like little things that turn into boxes?
No, because I didn't have all of them. I only had a couple of them, so it was still quite novel, and especially with the way they interacted with the Star-Max bomber and the tank, the attack track. That's Master of the Universe. The tank, basically, you could slide things in, and just the way they all connected underneath, it always felt like you wanted more. I always want more like that because even as a kid, I would set up little scenes, so I always wanted more of the pods more than anything.
Sure.
But yeah, that's pretty much all of those now. Oh, hang on, one last one. This one is a very weird one. This is one of the weirdest looking Starcom vehicles because it just doesn't look like anything else there.
Ooh.
So that was the Sidewinder, and this is the Tornado.
Oh, I like this.
Yeah, the Tornado gunship is what this one is.
But that really does just turn into a briefcase.
Yeah, but then you look at there's got like a little tail fin and everything.
Don't pretend you're not a briefcase, M.A.S.
This looks like a very, very early version of that Argo Vasalta thing that you picked from the sponsors.
Yeah.
This looks like some kind of underwater vehicle that turns into a box.
It does. This is all so Diaclone.
It really is, yeah.
This is like the powered suits from Diaclone Reboot and with the little things. It's like that, but with vehicles and everything.
Did you know other kids that had Starcom toys, Liam, or was it just you?
My cousin had them, and I knew other kids that had some of them as well. So we all used to just sort of pull them together. Most of my friends seem to have the Shadow Force ones more than any of the others. Whereas I leant more strongly toward the Starcom. Goody two shoes over here. But there was one last one, which is this weird little thing here.
Ooh.
Which is the Shadow Mini Tank.
That's the shuffler.
Yeah. It really is like, if you look at it, it's just... I don't know, like the guns don't even hide properly, so it's a bit like, oh, it's a secret tank. Is it?
Yeah.
See the treads and the guns?
Do you know, from a completely distant point of view, I'm looking at a lot of these little pod vehicles and thinking I'd probably be okay with just one of those if I started collecting this line now.
Yeah.
But you just know that if you got one and it felt really good in hand, you'd be like, oh, that's really fun. You would just be after that dopamine hit of getting another one and another one just for a little bit of variety and variation. I can totally see that happening.
Love it when M.A.S. tries to claim that he'd be happy with just one. Honestly,
he can't stop.
Yeah. Oh, I'd be happy with just one. Oh.
Starcom fights off Earth's attackers with a breakthrough in space technology. Power deploy. It activates Starcom equipment, transports Starcom combat troops. Power deploy. Starcom's got it, but so does the Shadow Force. Take battles into a new dimension with Starcom. Needs no batteries.
Before we get to the bases, there are 2 more vehicles that were released, but they were only released in Europe. And so these are the 2 most expensive toys in this toy line. First up, you have Six Shooter.
Oh, I've heard about this one.
Sounds a bit six-shotty to me.
So Six Shooter is one I kicked myself as I did not pick it up when it was like, I could get it for 50 quid or whatever.
Oh, that's really cool the way that opens up with the missiles. That's really nice. It very much lives up to its highly descriptive name.
It looks like a manta ray.
Yes.
But so these never reached America, but they did come out in Europe, so they're automatically one of the most expensive toys. But it really is an opening cargo bay on the top for you to put the other vehicles in, like the Star Wolf.
Okay, that's cool.
And then the extend in front with the gun. It just, I don't know, it feels like it needed more. I think that's why I never bothered to pick one up. It was like the one I was slightly the least interested in.
Oh, so this is one of the 2 that you don't have now?
Yeah.
Right.
It'll probably run you between 200 to 600 quid.
What?
In good condition.
But you wouldn't have picked these up because you didn't find them interesting at the time, right?
I never saw this one as a kid, but
okay.
I wouldn't have gravitated to it anyway. It looks a bit too much like a small dustbuster.
Definitely got a manta ray feel to it, 100%.
Yeah. I like the proper NASA style, not vents, what they like boosters on the back, like the cones from the rockets.
You said the Hawk thing would fit on the top.
Yeah, so that canopy that opens there.
Yeah, would all of those pod vehicles you've been showing us fit in there as well?
Yeah, they're all designed.
Every single one?
So. Yeah. Or they should anyway, I believe so. They're all designed to fit like that. Like the Star Max bomber is pretty much the test, because obviously it's a very small, compact space. So if it can fit in there, it can fit in any of them.
And the canopy on this one is operated by that little button on the side as well, yeah?
Yeah, I believe so.
It's so funny how they didn't just go for an opening canopy that you could open and close at will, but you have to use the button.
Every single one is like this. Is this the button? Is that on? Yeah, it's there. It is on the front. So the 2 on the back, one opens the cargo bay doors, obviously, and the other just splits at the front to release the 6 guns. But the other one that was unreleased in America but was here is James Roberts' favourite toy, which is the Shadow Upriser. Are you aware of this guy?
Yes.
I've heard them, yeah.
Would you look at that?
Oh, wow.
It's basically a landing platform as a tank, and it's so appealing, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Please. That's just, it's harsh that's expensive, because look at that.
If it had like little LEDs on each corner of the wing, it would look amazing, like as like a proper landing platform.
That is something. That is something else.
Yeah.
That's really fun.
This is another of the supremely expensive toys, right?
Yeah, this is the one that you will be looking at about £1,000 for it boxed in good condition.
What?
Yeek.
But somebody is selling one on eBay right now for €15,000. I say selling; they've listed it at that price.
Yeah,
I laughed
sure.
a lot. It was never going to go for that price.
Sorry, what?
15,000.
I saw one go recently without the box. It wasn't in the greatest condition, but it went for just under £1,000, 900 and something quid. It went for.
It's like an armored sandcrawler.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. Also, you see all the gimmicks there. It's obviously weapons, it folds out, does all that, but you can't see it there. But underneath the back, it's big enough that it can roll over a cargo pod and carry it.
Oh man.
So it even interacts with that.
Wow.
I remember James Roberts posted about this on Twitter about this toy. And so I know he had that toy. He was a big fan.
Well, why wouldn't you be? I mean, just look at it.
Because I think I made a joke about him putting it in a comic. There's a Transformer somewhere in the background.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder if James Roberts was Mr. All of Starcom.
Hey, maybe.
When he was a kid. Don't know.
That's a really good looking toy. That's one of the best looking toys you've shown us. This is really nice.
It has everything though, because it looks cool, but it has that mystique of being the most expensive toy in the line.
Yeah.
Thus the most desirable by most people and just mysterious and interesting.
You ever handled it?
No, never seen one in the flesh.
So this is the other of the two. Yeah, right.
Because obviously we don't get like a TF Nation for this sort of thing, so you don't interact with toys that you don't see, on this level.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the other ones you find quite regularly at different shows or car boots and stuff. But yeah, that is pretty great. And yeah, Americans didn't get it, but just look at it.
Yeah, I'm really into that one.
I think I'm right in saying, am I not, that these are the two toys that Paul had recently?
These are the two, yes.
Paul from the Space Bridge, which some people will be familiar with. Yeah, because I saw that he had shared some pictures of some Starcom toys, and there was some chatter around, oh my god, these are like the most amazing ones or whatever. And I'd sort of, glean from context and that they were ultra rare and whatever else. And that this one especially, the Shadow Upriser, I love that name.
Yeah.
Was, the really kind of amazing one and the ultra rare one. But yeah, it just looks incredible. I hadn't seen it properly, just the sort of tank mode.
Yeah. It's just amazing. It's like, it almost doesn't make sense, when you look at it, but you see like the scaffolding element just looks cool. And the little guy sat in the front, in the pouch.
Yeah, it just seems like he's chilling out.
Hello, just eating his lunch.
Yeah, he really is, isn't he? He's on a break.
Yeah, it's just, don't disturb him.
There's a dude sitting in next to one of the treads, isn't there?
Yeah. It's huge. But I don't know if you can see this. So the guy on the far right, you can see the little tube going around him.
Yeah.
So the single pack figures came with backpacks, like G.I. Joe. Like I was saying, there's some elements that are similar to M.A.S.K and G.I. Joe. So here, all these little minifigures came with backpacks, but not the ones packaged with the vehicles, only the single carder ones. But one of the reasons that makes these extremely expensive is these backpacks and the guns are tiny. And obviously the rubber tubes are disintegrating.
Yeah.
And you very rarely find them. Like I have an entire one of them little yellow cargo pods just full of the backpacks and guns and just one of the tubes.
Mm.
But they also plug into the vehicles. Have all got little fuel ports, little circles for the tubes to go in.
Just stop.
And
Stop right there. Stop right there.
There's guns.
This is enough now.
If you see some of the stock photography on the boxes, they're using them like welding tools and stuff like that, not just guns.
This is brilliant. And it's so painful that this stuff is just financially ridiculous and most likely to be ruined now.
Okay, so as we're entering the final straight here, because we've covered all the pods, but there was something that came late that pops up in my photography all the time, which is all of these little command pods, the action pods.
And this is Starbase Command, it says.
Yeah, so that's the little faction.
So like a medical bay, command post.
Yeah,
these are
vehicle
cool.
repair.
Yeah.
Major artillery. So I have all of these, and they all just pop open and the bits spring out, but they are...
I've seen these in your photos, I'm sure I have.
You have. So, yeah, because the vehicle repair I use quite often in the background for Transformers because the cars can fit on it and stuff. But the little medical bay part is great with Dionauts and the little human figures because they all just fit inside it. It's got little computers, and that has got like a little rubber tube thing that I've still got, thank God, that goes in there. Oh, no, sorry, that's the vehicle repair bay that's got the rubber tube. But yeah, it's got all these little fold-out stuff. But these also obviously fit inside. But you can see this theme of the little pods. Everything has to interact and compact down into these little things and be able to store in.
Yeah. This gives me really Micro Machines vibes. These things do, like the Travel City sets.
Yes.
They just open out, and this is really very much reminding me of that.
But what it also plays into is the theme of exploration. Like, the idea is that everything has to be able to go into a pod so it can go into a spaceship so they can explore and easily take this stuff, and it unfolds easily. So it's like now, if we ever go to Mars, like, this is the sort of stuff you would actually do.
Oh, you haven't been?
Not recently. Oh, hey. Oh, I've got to get this in before we finish. So, obviously, it's called Starcom, but in real life, that is the name of the US Space Force now, is Starcom.
That's brilliant.
Donald Trump started that Space Defense Force, or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
so it's an actual US government arm now, Starcom. It's his real name.
Oh, is it? Is that what it's called?
Genuine, yeah, very real. It's called
Wow.
Starcom.
Oh my god! When life imitates art, right? Like it's just incredible.
Because if you start Googling Starcom, the first results now aren't the toys. They're the US government, Space Force. But these things are wicked, and it's such a shame that they're not more well known. You're like, these are just absolutely brilliant.
It's when the designs for like their uniform and equipment and stuff starts rolling out, and you see that it's actually based on the old 80s toys. That's when you know that
They've got magnets in their shoes. They've got in their boots.
You're right. That's when you know that someone was a fan growing up, right? They start having little pods and things like that. And...
Yeah.
I really want these, like the medical bay and the action pods. These are must-haves.
They're so suited for you with the Diaclone stuff. They're not expensive either. Really not expensive.
Well, that's not what I want to hear. Is it the command post that's pictured wrapped up as well in the inset photo?
Yeah, that's the one.
I would like 5 of those, please.
So I use these as crates a lot in the background, or just background scenery. When it's blurred, they can be anything, and they're fantastic. There were 2 unreleased ones as well that never got made, sadly, but they look just like the laser artillery and command post, really.
You said cars fit on them. Are you talking about like Micromasters sized vehicles?
No. So you see the vehicle repair one?
Yeah.
So that lift, it actually raises up, like you would if you went into a garage.
Sure.
And they put a car on that little track thing. So that fits the little grey cars that turn to pods almost.
Okay.
We talked about earlier, like the laser rat is a good one. So you could put toy cars because they are... Deluxes are maybe too small.
Give me a Transformer, Liam. Help me scale this. Give me a Transformer car.
That's what I'm trying to think. Like now, a small Deluxe would fit on there.
Oh dear. You mean I could put bisque on this?
Yeah. But it's got bits that fold out like a little gas nozzle, and you can see the little repair arm comes out. But because they're all on folding hinges as well, you can really move them about your setup for photos.
Wow.
It could be Bisque's feeding station.
Bisque on a box.
Yeah. So for ages, this is like a little trademark of mine. I've seen other people using them, and a little part of my eyebrows start raising like, oh man. Yeah, they're fantastic, and they suit everything.
They look great. They're just, oh God.
Do it, M.A.S.K. Do it.
The final 2 toys here that we're going to talk about, or the final 2 release toys, are the Starbase Station, which I've also used in photographs, just parts of it, because it yellows so badly.
Wow, Star Wars.
You have this thing.
Yeah, I've got both of them. There's just another one as well.
Just when you think that Liam has a lot of toys, and then you find out about a whole new toy line.
No, so do you remember the hall? I was talking about the amazing hall. All this stuff was in there again.
Right.
Oh man, that's so cool. It's almost like countdown level gantry sort of thing going on there.
So I've used this in my LG, I think it's like misfire photos. I use this a lot. But what that is, so the lay down mode is its normal mode. And can you see the little orange square?
Yeah.
So that is a conveyor belt. How it works is, we're talking about the power deploy feature with the magnets. When you put the little magnetized guy on, it starts moving across on its own.
Oh, waffle.
No, it does. So it does that, right? And then the gun there is the same. Can you see the little post on the side of the gun, what you twist around? The large grey gun, should I say?
Yeah.
So you twist that, you put the guy in, and that starts like moving like an anti-artillery cannon, anti-aircraft cannon.
That's fantastic.
But its best trick is that it transforms into a vertical platform.
Yeah.
So it flips up, and this is the sort of thing you could see on like a small moon, like that, like an orbiting station sort of thing. But the lift, if you can see the
Liam,
orange...
I could see it on a big moon too.
It would definitely go on button moon. But you see the little orange panel there is the reverse of the lift. But now, if you stand the figure on it, it then goes up vertically. So that flips up as well as an elevator.
Quality design ideas there.
Yeah. It is fantastic.
So much play. And does yours still work, all the bits and pieces?
It works, and it's quite sad because obviously, can you see that central column there?
Yeah.
Look how yellow that is. It's that kind of plastic, that different kind of plastic.
Wow, yeah.
Yellow so fast. Like mine's really yellow. It's why I don't use it in many photos, because it looks so out of place with everything else.
It looks like it's blended into the wood at the back. I think I may have just not seen it.
I mean, if you look at the other photo where it's laying down, you can see what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And even there it's turning, but it's so much brighter.
Wow.
I never had this as a kid, and I can't imagine how much fun this must have been. There's like a little yellow catch, and that's what causes it to flip up and flip down. Yeah. But the other base is...
I would just like to inform you that both those hearts were accidental.
Yeah, well, I was just wondering. I'm gonna give it a heart that's purely intentional.
Yeah. So check this out. I spoke to you about this earlier, didn't I? I mentioned a feature.
Oh man.
I did a photo of this a while ago, and then this is the one where Kit drew a little dead next to each Starcom character that didn't have a visor on. Told me they're dead because they were in space. I was like, thanks, Kit.
What is this thing called?
So this is just a Starbase station? No, that was the other station. This is Command HQ. That's what this one is.
Looks like something out of Mos Eisley.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, yeah, it really has sort of big Tatooine vibes to me, this thing. Like it just kind of one of those little outposts in the desert.
At first glance, you look at it and you go, oh, it doesn't look that involved or anything. But so if you look at the cannon at the front, that again, there's like a little twisty button on the side. It's a thing you put in the figure and then the guns start rotating once you wound it up. And then on the other side, you can see a orange radar dish.
Yeah.
And there is a magnet panel on the inside. I think there's 4 of them, and 3 of them are just magnet panels. But the 4th one, if you put a figure on it, that starts rotating.
Can I just say that orange chair in the middle is the most 80s college chair I've ever seen.
That's not even yellow. That's just the way it is as well.
Yeah.
But it's but there's a little command desk there. Very Diaclone. Like, you can't see it in the photo, but it's a command desk. But behind that, before we get to the best feature, if you can see, there's a weird little metal rail, which is like, you know, in the Batcave where Batman is swinging on the nose. That's all it's for. It doesn't do anything except for the Dinosaurs can swing off it with their feet.
What? Because it's magnetic?
Yep.
No.
That's the only reason it's there. That's all it does. So you put them on it and you can just flick them round so they just keep spinning.
That's cool.
Pointless.
I know.
But brilliant.
But it's very much like, you remember the first Batman film where...
he's hanging upside down.
He's just swinging. You can do that. But the king of this is the airlock on the end. So you can see the steps there. They're like a little metal panel to be magnetic.
Yeah.
Just in front of that, I don't know if you can make out in the photo, just in front of the clear door, there is a really small panel. And what you do is you stick it's magnetic, so you pop your figure on there. And you can see the white ledge sticking out. There's a little black switch on it. And you press that to rotate the door. And what this does is it takes the magnet underneath. So it takes the figure with it, like he's walking all the way through. And he comes out the other side into the base. He doesn't just go inside the airlock. He goes through the other side.
I need to see this in action.
Yeah.
Because what you're describing just sounds like witchcraft. So I just think I need to see this stuff in action.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Do some videos, mate. Social engagement off the charts, I'm telling you.
I keep meaning to take photos, but this again, it's so yellow. It's because it's different types of white plastic.
But it suits this toy. I think this toy line, it's fine. Like Sixo was just saying, it's got very Tatooine vibes.
Yeah.
All of these massive bases and stuff, if they're yellow, they just look like used space vehicles. And it works.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's almost like a slightly depressing feeling about it, though, because, you know, I really hate yellowing in particular. It's the one thing of all things, because it's nothing you can do about it. But particularly these toys, because I love them so much, and I just want to take photos of them, but it's really hard not to look at them and see that. You know, like sometimes if you slightly crack a toy or something, and it's hard to look at it the same ever again.
I get it, but I do understand what Maz is saying, though, because to me, they do look beautiful when they're nice and white, but they also have this sort of old future vibe that Star Wars has, you know, of like of futuristic vehicles that are just run down, and
it's got a real Nostromo vibe, you know, from Alien.
Yeah, no, absolutely, it does.
Get a sandpit, photograph them in a sandpit. Job done.
Exactly. I completely agree.
But what I love about stuff like this as well, if you look at the base, it's on the struts, so it's designed to look like something they would have put down as a temporary base on a planet, you know, like terraforming or something they're just exploring. And I just really love all those touches. You can see on the side the blue circle with the star in. That's the Starbase Command logo. All the figures have that on their chest, the Starbase guys. But that is actually it for the released toys. But there is one last thing I want to show you, because this will really tickle Maz's fancy.
Like the rest of it hasn't.
I think it will tickled out.
Obviously, we're very used to unreleased toys. Pink Hot Rod, you know, stuff was released now.
I think you'll find that's been released.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. But check this out. So, right before Starcom died, there were just a couple of toys that were revealed. There was a couple of pods that looked very similar, but there was this, the Double Fighter. And just look at it. It's so weird. But this is clearly a handmade model. This isn't like an actual toy.
It looks different, yeah.
Yeah.
But also, the thing that's really different about it is it's blue. You know, all the Starcom vehicles are white, except for the Sidewinder. And this one is clearly light blue. But when you see people who have made drawings of it, they always draw it in white. But it's actually baby blue.
I would have thought it was white as well. There's just like the elements of the photo that make it look blue.
I think that's what people think. But when you actually look at it, it's really uniform, the blue. And it's the same as the pictures. And there are other pictures of it, like the prototype. And it's also this light blue.
Does the prototype exist, like physically? Is there a physical example of it somewhere?
I don't think anyone owns it. It's just showed up in this. This was like a catalogue announcing its reveal.
Talk to Raz.
So this is why I thought this is right on Mazza Street. This catalogue photo of a toy that doesn't exist.
Yeah,
mate.
You can tell it's not an actual like fully prototype, a plastic toy, should I say? You know what I mean?
It's resin, then, is it? It's just painted resin.
It looks like it's a handmade prototype, but it looks so nice. So it's called the Double Fighter, the Massive Attack Jet. So the front comes off and it splits in half, a lot like Transformers the movie.
Beautiful. I mean, the model looks stunning, can I say? It really does.
If you think about the year this was coming, so this would have been a roughly, I suppose, in design about 88, 89, that time frame. And so we're not long after Transformers the movie, and as Inflatable Dalek corrected us on Twitter when we were talking about how the Autobot shuttle separating was a rip-off of Star Trek.
Oh, yeah.
I remember when I was editing it, it's like, oh man, I'm sure the first time I saw it was Next Generation, and that's the first time it happened. So Transformers the movie actually did it first.
Yeah. Do you know, it's funny.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd randomly heard that discussion again recently, and I was like, oh yeah, we got it the wrong way around, totally. But yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, so this is hot on the heel. So right in the middle of the 80s there, we've got Transformers, Star Trek, and this all doing the same thing.
Yeah, mad.
Well, this deserved to come out. Look at it.
What's quite cool is one of the reasons I put it in there is look at this. You get people now, they've made it.
It's just like M.A.S.K and Shark, isn't it?
Yeah, because we have the advent of 3D printing. So someone's actually made it, and it's fully functional.
Wow, that's so cool.
That's super cool.
That's great. That's a really good job.
They obviously have figured out how it worked, but yeah, you can print it off, and you can make it.
Have you thought about doing that?
I don't have a 3D printer, but if I did, it would be one of the very first things I would love to make, because it's just such a weird thing.
So they just put that design out there for anybody to use, have they?
I believe so. I've only seen people who have made it. I've just seen it on like Twitter and Instagram and stuff.
Yeah.
But I've seen the files are available.
Nice.
So I assume so. But yeah, so that was the Double Fighter. But I will drop one last image in just because I think it's so beautiful, and I think you should see what this toy line looked like in its full sort of breadth. This is virtually every single toy. There's this catalogue that was included by Mattel right at the end. So it even includes the Shadow Rider.
Oh my god.
There's not even that many. Like when you realise it, there are a couple of little things missing here and there. I think it's like one or two vehicles I don't think are on there.
Yeah. It's a smallish toy line, isn't it? It's not insurmountable at all, but it's a really cohesive line. It fits perfectly together. It's all got a cross play pattern. It all works sort of with one another. All the toys very nicely. Aesthetically, it hangs together really well, even though it's different as well.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. I love the fact that it's all scaled.
It's quite toyish. However, it still maintains a pretty serious sci-fi vibe that it wouldn't look out of place with figure photography.
Yeah.
And this catalogue that you've posted really makes me realise that in bone white, some of it doesn't hit the same way. I actually quite like the weathered look.
Oh, really?
Like, especially the Starbase Command HQ.
Is this just you trying to get me to take photos of it and show you how that thing works?
I'd love you to do that. Well, just do videos, mate. Just do videos.
Maybe.
Yeah, do you know, I actually kind of agree. Like, I got to tell you, that Starbase Command thing, I liked it in the kind of grungy yellow look. I think the bone white is almost less attractive to me somehow.
Yeah, looks more like a plastic toy in a way, like this.
Yeah. I don't know. It is kind of the difference between Star Trek and Star Wars in a funny way, isn't it? Of Star Trek being that very kind of clean, sort of ultra futuristic vibe, and Star Wars being that, as I say, that old future look, sort of worn future. And yeah, I kind of see what you're going for, Mez.
I just love how all these vehicles, the more you look at them, particularly on the Starcom side of things, it's also functional, but not for war, even though there's guns and rockets and stuff. It never feels like that's the main point of it. It's all to do something. It's almost like education by stealth, isn't it? Like we get educational toy lines, but you don't really get one that does what this does, where it is like aimed at kids to play with, like boys' toys, isn't it? Good guys versus bad guys. But in this manner, it's just so well done, because it does feel like you're learning stuff about, you want to move the cargo pods about, you want to do other stuff like lifting things up. You're not really that fussed about blowing up the other stuff.
Did we look at the Sidewinder?
Yeah, we did. We talked about that one. It's a small blue one that goes sideways.
Super nice looking.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying looking at this catalogue because of all the names. Really enjoying just looking through the names. Like you said, half tank, half 7.
Yeah.
It's actually H.A.R.V-7 is the name of it. I never would have been able. I would have thought it was half 7.
But yeah, the Sidewinder, you press a button and it flips into a jet. Everything pops out. It's all mechanized, and it just. Before we finish up, man, it's just one of the things you look at it, and even when you put them now, you're like, man, toys don't feel like this now. This level of plastic, this kind of features inside. It's like it always has something, but it'll have a trade-off to compensate for that. Whereas this never felt like just like the canopies. It's such a small thing to keep talking about, but the fact there's a spring-loaded canopy in every one, you press the button and it flips. It's just insane.
In deepest space of battle rages between the evil Shadow Force and Starcom! Look! The Shadow Star! Emperor Dark! He's mastered teleportation and dematerialization! Look out, Slim! Hey, that's top secret!
Will the secrets of magna-fucking power deploy our minds?
That's my polarizing death.
Too late, Crowbar, but he'll be back.
Starcom, the fight for freedom rages.
And that was Starcom.
Excellent stuff, man.
I love that, mate. Thanks for taking us through
excellent.
that.
Yeah, indeed.
You're very welcome.
I got to tell you, I went into this and I was well into the idea of doing it, and I was like, this will be fun and whatever else. For the toys themselves, I was kind of like, yeah, let's see. But I don't think I expected to be really blown away by them. But I'm just, what a great toy line. It totally deserved more attention than it got.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you can totally see now why the people who do like it react to it.
Yes.
Even people who see it, it sparks a memory, and the way they react to it is so like, wow, that's amazing.
I think it really sits, as we've sort of talked about, it really sits on the periphery, sort of in the middle of a bunch of other toy lines. There's almost like a sort of Venn diagram somewhere, isn't there, where if you crossed over Masters of the Universe, Star Wars, M.A.S.K, Diaclone, G.I. Joe, you crossed all these things over, you would end up with Starcom sort of sitting in the middle, taking bits from each. And some original stuff as well, like with the kind of pods and stuff and that kind of gimmick and some of the motorized things.
It'd be on a little magnet so you can't get it out the middle either.
Yeah.
So it's just always stuck in the middle of that diagram.
Right, yeah.
Got a question for you, Liam. Got a question for you. If someone decided to reboot this franchise and they did a super quality, more than meets the eye style comic, or just a really cool, like Master of the Universe Revelation style cartoon that you could enjoy as an adult, legitimately enjoy, and then they did a rebooted toy line the way Diaclone has done, would you be into that?
Oh, God, yeah. Well, provided it follows this same design style, where I look at it and I feel like it's fictional vehicles, but I can feel the NASA influence, if you know what I mean? Like the almost slight reality edge to it. So it's all functional.
Yeah.
As long as it was like that, not kind of overly crazy.
It's not so sci-fi that it's completely out of the question, is it? There's a sense of sort of almost realism to it, where this could be 10 years, and probably not 10 years, but 10 years in the future or whatever. And
it has the look of something that they would have been pie in the sky dreaming up, like it could have been something on a drawing board or something like, oh, maybe one day.
The shadow stuff looks like it was designed to look badass.
Yeah.
But the Starcom stuff looks like it was designed to functionally work.
The shadow stuff feels like it's designed to balance out the Starcom's utilitarian look. That's meant to look more sort of like designed by NASA.
Yeah.
Not realistic, but you know what I mean? Like it could exist, stuff that you would recognize. Whereas the other stuff is like they've gone, we have to get the kids the other way. Let's go with cool ass bad dudes.
Yeah.
Cool stuff. The Starcom stuff looks like what someone in 1986 thought we would be doing in 2023.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All jetpacks.
Yeah.
Instead, we have TikTok.
I mean, do you not have a jetpack?
TikTok.
I'm amazed Sixo doesn't have a TikTok.
TikTok.
One other question. Is the shadow stuff compatible with the Starcom stuff?
Yes. Well, the pods are designed all to fit together. So, yeah, it's all the same. It's all the same magnets, all the same sort of bits and bobs. They all fit together.
So when do you buy one, Maz?
Oh, I've been trying. I have shadow parasites on my watch list, shadow bats on my watch list, but unfortunately, Liam has now opened the door to many, many other things. And I would love to grab a Starbase Command HQ and a Sky Roller, at least.
You know what? It's the weirdest toy. It's one of the weirder ones, but somehow it's one of my favorites. Absolutely one of my favorites. And that's what these things always are, isn't it? It's always the strange ones from the toy lines you gravitate to.
Yeah. I mean, look, it says coming soon, 6-shooter and Shadow Upriser. It's just got massive end-of-line vibes, hasn't it? It's exactly what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, as you say, is also why they're so expensive, isn't it?
They brought down the little magnetic curtain.
Yeah. Fantastic. What a line.
Yeah.
I quite like that it's small as well and not so unwieldy and whatever. I think it's...
I'll tell you what, if you buy them all, you then ask your bank account and the space they've taken up, does it feel small?
Yeah, true. Well, I won't be buying any of them. Can I clarify?
Do you reckon there's not a single one there that appeals that you would just love to have as a curio?
I mean, definitely the Shadow Bat.
Yeah. Look at that thing.
But yeah, I think so. Definitely. That is just super cool. But I think the thing with the Shadow Bat is that immediately Liam brings his blowing picture up of the thing and it looks amazing. And then you discover, oh, ho, ho, there's 4 other toys in there as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's a bit of a cheat. So the Shadow Bat by itself does appeal, but you'd need 2 blooming Shadow Parasites, a Shadow Invader. And...
just buy the super rare French gift set version. I'm sure that's fine.
Absolutely. I'll talk to the missus and see what when she pops over there next. You know what I mean? It's absolutely fine. So it's a little scout around.
Yeah, get us a juicer as well there, ain't it?
Yeah, sure, man.
Have you seen the action set, the Starfleet action set, just before we finished? Have you seen that one, Maz?
Starfleet action set.
So it's the Mattel released them, so there's some mystery of whether it was only released in the UK or whether it was released in Europe. But it's the Star Max bomber. It comes with a Star Wolf, the Missile Fox, 6 Starcom figures, and 2 Shadow Force guys. It's a box set. It's really rare, but it's completely different. And what they did was they changed all the stickers, so it's got weird stickers. But I don't like it because I don't like the stickers are over the top. They're very late 80s, early 90s. You know what I mean? Where they've just gone mad. Big X's everywhere. But one of the things they've stuck on is on the canopy. They've got like a heads-up display that goes up massive amount of the canopy, and that's the only bit where I'm like, actually, that's really cool. But this box set is worth a fortune.
I'm looking at it on Google now. Wowza, that's a lot of toys in a box.
Yeah.
That's 6 good toys in a box.
But it's really different. So, yeah. So if you ever see like these toys with very different stickers, this is where they come from.
Love it. Ticks all the boxes. The mysterious old toy line. It's everything.
Can't wait to see you get some in hand, Maz.
I would love to get some in hand. I love it. I loved buying M.A.S.K. I love buying Diaclone. Just variety.
Check behind your radiator. You might have some. That's where they all end up now. Everyone finds them behind their radiators.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, that's all we used to do as kids, wasn't it? Stick the little men on the radiators.
Oh, right. Okay.
So it's quite a running joke.
Great stuff. Well done, Liam.
Hot stuff.
And do you know, I got to tell you, this has totally whet my appetite for more of your 80s ramblings in the form of an ongoing mini-series.
Yep.
Is that fair to say?
I'll have to see. I don't know.
I love how non-committal but secretly actually quite committed you are to all of this.
Well, like I've already written it out.
I've seen the notepads, and I've seen them teased on Twitter. And of course, if you want that, you're going to need to join our Patreon, which is patreon.com/triple takeover, because that's where you get access to the miniseries. And it don't just mean the £1 level. You've got to go in at the Gold Box Classics level, because that's where the exclusive material is. And if you enjoyed this anywhere as much as we have, and I can't wait to learn about more of these toy lines, especially if they're going to be this wicked, then you need to sign up as a GBC, and there will be ongoing content like this alongside our already existing content. Commission minisodes, listen to minisodes as Sixo's butler. You get the minisode joy as well. You get shout outs on the show, opportunity to ask questions, access to Discord. You also get the Discord and the episode poll and the opportunity to ask us a question on the pod at Inner Beast. And you get early access to episodes up to a week early, or you can sign up as a Man in Pig to get that early access to episodes and to be able to say you're a Man in Pig. Or you can just sign up and say thank you. Or you can just not and just catch us every 2 weeks with amazing stuff like this.
I guess you can. I mean, that's fine. But
there are people who do that.
That's all good. That's all good. If that's all they want to do.
And like I said, there is a patron shout out that we do for everyone at Sixo's Butler and GBC Gold Box Classics level. So a massive thank you to Nick, Danny Roberts, Andy Preston, Chris Spiderfather, Adam Shoemaker, Matt, Stephen Perkins, Bad Saturday, Justin Massaro, Dave Darrell, Gio Kaiser, Yusuf, John Pearl, Choice of Anthony Carls, Alec Mir, Captain R.A. Phil, G, Jack Platier, Roadstorm, Stuart Webb, Mar, Laserbeak, Puma the Hunter, Vegemite Mike, Peter Hammerson, Shenry, Chris Norris, Jesse Moreno, Nexus, Gemoin, Aaron Swoboda, Billy Gator, Andy Gold, Cole Squall, Simon Elvin, Joshua Misha Kid, Cracktastic Plastic, Dan Vasseda, Jeffrey Freeg, Nice Sideburns Andy, Inbound Lee, John Wood, Kyler Wilmer, Tim Banerjee, Campbell, Ben Lewis, Shinsei, Lucas Henkel, Mollis Koenig, Malcolm Hobbs, CNC, Rick 56, Mythic Gears, Zach Lawson, Jason Murray, David Shepard, Esteem, Duggatron, Quick Mix, Josh Bell, Ashpolt, Zindios, Christian Hyatt, Mark Ali, Andrew Bentley, Graham Moffat, Connor C, Buck Prota, Uncharismatic Boar, Eric Hoyt, Bobby P, Mike Loyakono, Niar Bat, Tyler Husky, Chris Rodwell, Alicia aka Alicia John, Steve Redmond, Fart Wop, Shawnee Sean, Jim Kinsey, Shaunty Siegel, James Pascoe, Ghost Balls, Ghost Prime, 4 Big Balls, Jickle, MK Tronic, Hodert Walter, Charlie Chappelle, DD, Maddie Clark, Jonathan Falls Logic Howard, Alexis Taylor, Windows 6K, Teku James, Tyler Dickinson, Jeremy Woodall, Ross, Jetfire James, Dog Lunch UK, and another new addition, Saucy Fellow, and of course the M.A.S.K brothers, who you might recognise.
I tell you what, I ain't afraid of no ghost balls.
So we're going to leave that in then. This is the non-editable section.
We're going to edit out ghost balls. Sorry, that's not going anywhere.
No phantom golden balls.
Yeah, certainly. Spooky. Wow, ghost balls.
Why don't you talk about the people who sponsor us to do this rubbish?
Oh yeah, I should do that, shouldn't I? Right. Yes, if indeed they still do. So we have the wonderful TF Source.
We haven't checked, by the way. Just keep slapping their logo on the episode.
Yeah, just keep sending off the invoice. Anyway, we we have tfsource.com for all your Transformers and third-party needs. And we have the wonderful kapowtoys.co.uk. God love them. Go and check them out. And they've got some wonderful stuff. Diaclone stuff as well. Maybe some Starcom. Probably not, let's be fair. But still, worth a look.
After all that, if you've not been convinced enough to part your money either for all these Starcom toys or our Patreon, you can head to our Redbubble, where you can find t-shirts, all that good stuff, all sorts of merch over at redbubble.com/people/triple takeover/explore. Is that right?
That's right. That's the one.
And if you want to let us know your thoughts on Starcom, or what your memories of that toy line are, what toys you've bought, or any other toy lines, feel free to get in contact with us. You can find us at triple_takeover on Instagram and Twitter, and at triple takeover, all one word, on Facebook. Maz, where can they find you?
eBay. At TFsquareone on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Sixo?
I am at Sixo TF on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Patreon, possibly a few others.
And I'm Toybox Soapbox, anywhere there's an app. Thanks for sticking with us, and we hope you've enjoyed this exploration of a toy line we're sure you can all agree didn't get the time in the sun it deserved. It's time for us to power deploy to bed, or in Maz's case, eBay.
I think they got plenty of time in the sun looking at you.
I was just going to say, I very nearly interrupted you there to be like, wow, that doesn't seem to be a problem.